Welcome to another episode of Laura Ramblings, and boy, was our everything kind of rambling. Name's Adam, and I had to essentially kind of run around like my head was cut off and I was a chicken, or I was like a Imperial Japanese naval officer screaming as the air fuel was about to explode on his carrier. God, I literally was oh I had to play chauffeur. There were some technical issues, and then last but not least, we had to figure out where the heck we were. Ah!
And then I, ImpCit, had to find all my dice, because we're doing character creation today.
Because what better way to look into rifts, which is the topic of this, if you didn't see by the title, what better way to look into the creation method of rifts than by actually using the system as we get into it? All right, and with that in mind, let me crack open all the things needed, because again, Uh, we were kind of distracted initially. And let's look into the game rules, which are at the end of the book. I hated it when Schalt did it. I hate when people do this. This is a terrible game design process. Now it shouldn't
Maybe
be at the beginning, but it should be, I don't know, near the beginning.
considering that we are at page 274 and there are 384 pages left, there's probably a reason that they don't front load the rules. But still, they should have front loaded the rules.
They should have front loaded the rules, and no, there's still about 100 pages left actually. Okay, so what does the rules go into? Well, first off, they explain how a role playing game works, which, I mean,
In, in fact, literally says, if you have never played role playing before, you're in for a treat, because there's nothing like role playing games. It's like advertising the actual concept of role playing games.
there's an earnestness there at least. It's just
Oh,
my,
they're very much.
it's just the design is so fucked. And they go through, and he goes through like step by step, which I will grant him, this is something you don't usually see when people explain role playing games. This is like a kind of earnestness you don't usually see in most RPG books. They usually just explain the mechanics and just kind of assume that you figure it out yourself. Well, he just kind of takes your hand and goes step by step. Now, what do you need to play? There's quite a few. You need two 4-sided dice, four 6-sided dice, two 8-sided dice, two 10-sided dice, and two 20-sided dice, which makes this relatively unfriendly to, I think, a first-time role player, because you need all of these on hand. If you're a more seasoned one, you should have them available. Thankfully, due to the advent of computerization, while you can just kind of use online computers to do a lot of this for you. You lose a little bit of the satisfaction, but you also, you don't have to worry about certain dices that are made cheap. Because
And
you know
and
those type of dice where, like, because of the way they're made, they just tend to favor a specific side because you wear the nubs on certain sides.
mhm.
You don't have to worry
and
about that.
and again, you could tell when this was made because it says in the middle of that where you can find this stuff: Barnes and Noble, Books a Million, Borders, Media Play, of which I believe three of those are no longer in existence and one is somewhat hanging on.
I think, yeah, there's only one that's remotely solvent, I think, still. Um, you can definitely tell that whenever what's his face, the Palladium guy, whenever he does update this, I think it's just with errata. Like, it's very clear he never touches any of this stuff again.
Yeah, that's something that I've heard is once he has his rules, they're set in stone.
Which I think is kind of dumb, because that's very much it's very much a you know what? It's very much a Christian thing. One and
Hmm.
done. Frank Sinatra, fuck it. I showed up to their studio set. I belted it out. I did it like shit. We're doing it live. Fuck it.
At the same time, it's kind of a time capsule
True.
because you will never see rules like this in a modern game.
But I will totally bully him for putting the terms that he uses in his game here.
Oh yeah, we can finally now explain the game.
That is some of the look. Here's the thing, right? You can't really use those terms, in my opinion, unless you explain what the fuck they mean first. I hated it when Chalt did it. I hate it now. Awful game design when you do this.
Like, for instance, I think we finally get to explain, uh,
He explains what CS is. He explains what a
yeah,
cyberdoc is. Uh,
what death is.
yeah. Does he
Actually,
actually?
does
He actually explains what a DB is finally.
I want to take a minute with the death thing. He explains that, yeah, death is commonplace.
Yeah.
Like, you should try to take characters' death calmly. Remember, it's only a game. When one character dies, roll up a new one. Which, considering how many games these days probably focus on you having the same character, it's a bit refreshing to say, yeah, they're gonna die. Make it epic. Yep, sorry. Make it epic, make it interesting, but know it's gonna happen.
There's always a chance of death, and that's the thing with especially older RPGs, since they tend to make it very much more about the system rather than your character. There's odds that occasionally your character will die. In fact, actually, just the other day, Randall, in the midst of doing research on certain DBs himself, he asked for copies of the Traveler book, which, fun fact, during character creation, you literally can die during it. We tried to show that in one of our first episodes. We might try to do that again eventually, since that one was a bit of a dumpster fire. I'll just leave it up to you, the viewers. You can decide whether or not you want to see us try Traveler again.
Alright, so,
But yeah, they explain what DBs are. Now, the thing is,
which
I don't think they actually ever used the term dead boy. I don't remember them using the term.
Coalition Dead Boy, I believe, is.
Well, yeah, like that's the evil Imperium of Man. Not knockoff, but like synchronized example, I should say, because it was like two. They came about at the same time.
Yeah, but
Like
for the
that is something they never used the term dead boy, or if they did, it was only in pictures. I've noticed.
probably because I'm pretty sure if you say that to one of them, they're liable to shoot you. But onto what a DB is, it generally refers to a bipedal humanoid with human-like intelligence, but comes from another world in a dimension. Uh, the vast majority were torn from their native reality and dropped into ours. Um,
Does he explain what SDC is? He probably should. He
I
probably does.
believe, I think he explained it ahead of time, but it's
No, he did not.
basically. Oh,
Quality.
all right, then
It's
he
not.
will
It's
probably.
not in the glossary. Excellent. And this is why you put your game rules in fucking early in your book.
Yeah. Which, considering that they came from all different worlds, different realities, how many of them do you think just died because of the fact that we have oxygen on our planet?
Less than you think, because oxygen is a very strong reactive agent. Like
Or,
to give you an
or
idea, one of the reasons why life actually tends to use oxygen and uses carbon is because it has four kind of valence clicking points for its electrons, which means you can build some pretty long chemical chains. As for oxygen, it's reactive, but not highly reactive, which
well,
gives it a lot of fuel potential. Although this
do,
does lead to the cursed idea of imagine a race of creatures that that actually need chlorine gas to live,
ooh,
because chlorine gas is highly reactive.
but but do remember that these are creatures coming from other dimensions as well.
Well, I mean, some of them might just instantly fall apart into slop because the rules of their matter doesn't apply as it does here.
As it turns out, there's only three dimensions that exist.
Well, no, I was thinking more like, wait, what? No, there's the strong electron force immediately compresses into like an infinite point.
Uh,
Of the four
yeah,
fundamental forces, if you're going to other dimensions, the only one that doesn't completely fuck with how matter would work, you can kind of get away with taking, you can kind of take away gravity, and most mechanics would work as they do, since it's one of the weakest of the four fundamental forces.
What are the other three?
Strong neutron force, weak neutron force, which deals with radiation and atomic bonding, and electromagnetic.
Hmm.
Basically, electron flow and lights and shit.
So imagine if there was no light on a planet and then dropped into this
Oh,
universe.
there's no electronic force, no electricity, no ability to see. On top of that, you actually lose a lot of the atomic bonding capabilities because you have no ionic charges to work with. But anyway, the concept
Yep.
is basically, since this is kind of a crossover friendly setting, this is what allows you to kind of put like Duke Nukem in here. Basically, it's like, hey, I was fighting aliens and now I'm here.
Or elves or lizard people or anything.
I'm just now envisioning like the Lord of the Rings movies, Legolas and Gimli getting trapped here.
Well, they probably have a good time.
Yeah.
That's depending on when in the journey.
Oh, don't worry, Squirrel Killer. We were late. Legitimately, Adam, had to eat. For those wondering, I had to panic eat my dinner and desperately set things up. It was rapid damage control, especially since we had to figure out. Oh, and on top of that, thank fuck, ImpCit has a second screen because another negative quality of how this book is organized, you have to go. What is it? 100 pages back up?
Basically, we're going to have to reference some of the restrictions or requirements in the character creation or in the character OCC themselves.
Ah, yeah. Yeah, excellent book design right there. Now again, the
Uh,
mechanics I can't really say at the moment since I've not done creation and I've not played. But I can tell you, book design, this is not how you do it.
so, just moving on. Apparently,
They talk about demons and shit.
35% of the world population is DBs. Then there's all the supernatural beings that can come to Earth. Uh,
I literally cannot get a second monitor, Scroll Killer. If you're wondering, I have a certain desk and I already kind of have a printer. Even if I cleaned it up, I legitimately would not have enough room for a second monitor. I'd need to like get a brand new desk, and that is I don't like dealing with furniture feng shui. It's pain. Furniture feng shui is like my least favorite thing, especially if you have to deal with wires and cables. Suffering.
oh yeah. But did you see that the way they spell some type of demon? Well, they have demons, but then they have
Oh, did they use the daemon?
Divalians. No, no, they don't.
Oh,
Divalians.
Divalians. What are those?
Dyvalian. They're just another type of demon. There, there's both demons and I guess devils.
They don't really go into differences on them. Oh, demons are evil incarnate, and I guess Divalians may be more nuanced. I don't know.
There's a whole series of books about a war between the two. I
Are you
don't know.
sure
They're
this isn't him just ripping off the Blood War from D&D?
probably in some respect.
Because
Um,
that's remember, like one of the reasons he kind of prints this as is because it gives him license to kind of use properties. Like it's one of the few ways he avoids getting destroyed. Uh, you know.
uh, moving on then, we now know what inner strength points are, ISP,
They
uh,
also explain what dog boys are, which is nice.
yeah,
They explain other basic concepts. So yeah, inner strength points.
which is psychic powers. You gain that through meditation. Magic is, well, different. Then MDC, mega damage.
Magic is
Uh,
covered to some degree in this RPG, but you have to buy this other book.
well, I mean, if you really want all the magic.
I think I figured out a reason why, even though it's not maybe there are people who want to escape from Dungeons and Dragons, but you know what Dungeons and Dragons does? Give you a pretty comprehensive core list of magic.
Well, didn't they? They did in here as well. We just
Okay,
skipped
that's
it because
good.
it was
Oh yeah,
huge.
we did. We did.
Uh, Next, explaining the Megaverse, which is
Speaking of which, I
registered.
think Divelians are trying to terrorize me since I'm hearing the wind picking up outside my house.
Um,
Don't
in
worry.
fact,
Don't worry.
they have
I
a
have things that cause mega damage. I can get them the fuck off if they try to break down the window.
in fact they offer a complete 32-page catalog of all role-playing game sourcebooks available free upon request, sending it to Palladium Books Incorporated, Department P,
I,
12455 Universal Drive, Taylor. Is that Michigan or Mass? Or,
PA?
no, it's MI,
Yeah, that's Michigan.
Michigan 48180.
That's assuming that building's still operational as it is.
Then they explain what a Nat
Again,
20
very much the Frank Sinatra just schlep in, fucking do it on the fly, and then schlep out.
uh,
They explain what
so
mega
next,
damage is, which basically he did this. Why did he do it like this? Why did he introduce this to the setting?
because
Was it just to
to make it
specialize it?
to make it more epic.
It just seems kind of pointless though, since most people have armor that can tank mega damage, you know?
Well, in this setting,
Yeah, but like it's such a rare. You get what I mean? Where it's like, what's the point if you're just very quickly gonna get something, even if it's crap that does it?
I think it is just the setting crossover issue.
It just feels kind of pointless, you know?
Yeah,
Like at the end of the
uh,
day, it just feels kind of pointless. But yeah, no, the Blood War is interesting. You can do some cool stuff with it in that setting.
other things that they finally explain,
Explains what a natural
different.
20 is for the. Again, I'll give him credit. I do like how he explains all of this stuff like you've never touched a book. Most RPG books nowadays, especially ones that are independently created, they just kind of assume that you'll know.
The
Like you've watched Critical Role, you've seen other morons talk about this. You clearly, I don't have to explain shit. Meanwhile, I bust his balls on book design, but I do like that he genuinely goes, look, odds are pretty good. You might not have played this, but I'm assuming that there are people who have bought this book that have never played an RPG before. So I am going to go by the bit to explain this to you.
yeah,
I just
also
wish he
apparently
did it within the first 40 pages.
also explaining that Nat 20 never misses, um,
Which
and
that is essentially true, especially in AD&D terms. Fun
does a
fact:
critical.
in D&D, rolling a 20 on a skill check does not equal automatic success. It just means you did really well.
It
And you
also
can't fail
means
a skill check, by the way.
it also means critical strike, double damage. So I think in the glossary he's also saying what the rules are, which I feel like you again should probably put that separate.
Yeah,
Um,
again, his book design is not good.
yeah. The different character classes, or at least what he calls character classes, and PPE, potential psychic energy, is used to uh, develop human potential and the energy to fuel magic. Um, Apparently, I'll explain the magic section.
I like how potential psychic energy is also used for magic. It does make it simple because you only have to deal with one particular resource.
Well, no. Potential psychic energy is for magic. Inner strength points are for psychic powers.
Why did it call it potential psychic energy if it's not used for psychic powers?
I don't know.
I feel like something went horribly wrong. But remember,
Uh,
once he's done it, he literally gets angry if you ever critique it because he's always right, which is a bit goofy in my opinion.
let's see.
Sometimes just take the L. Sometimes it's just genuinely a bad take.
Uh, Anything
In this
else?
case, it's like a nitpick. Let's be fair. I am nitpicking.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and then it's just explaining what rolling a 20-sided die, rolling a 10-sided die,
What
rolling
rifts are,
percentile,
which is the name of the game.
what a role-playing game is,
Roll to strike or roll to hit. Yeah.
and what a
Run.
saving throw
He
is.
actually explains what running means. I actually
Well,
like that.
it means it's a slang, but yeah, I first thought,
No, no, I
see,
like that because that's something I've never seen any other book do.
you know what, you're right.
This is a book that while he does seem to assume to a degree that you already are familiar with the book, or at least familiar with Palladium games, he actually takes time out for like literally some rando never touched a game. That's actually something you almost never see. Squirrel Killer mentioned Valorant, but more particularly, any Powered by the Apocalypse game just kind of assumes you know what the fucking RPG is. You know? That's something you don't see in
Which,
most new RPGs. They just kind of assume you know what it is.
which I could at least say for them, it's mostly because a lot of those games would be either like kickstarted or more obscure. But even then, Rifts is kind of obscure, and they are, providing
No,
this
I
content.
don't give a shit if they're kickstarted or obscure. One of the things that I think most RPG companies fail at. th- This is Adam's totally educated take, which means it's probably not at all. But one of the problems, especially for the OSR movement, is they do not try to reach out to people who have never touched this sort of shit. Hilariously, I'll give Matt Mercer crap because all of his stuff is pre-scheduled. Like they literally act out the script and it's like all fake after the first campaign. But I'll give him this. He actually exposed a lot of people who have never even thought of this shit at all to it. For worse in a lot of ways, but also for better since there's a wider audience, you know? It's mostly for worse because they refuse to get their butts off of D&D 5th edition. There's a lot of other magical game systems out there. It's one of the reasons why I really like doing Dice Scum, because we show a variety of books with a variety of different systems. Some of them pretty good, some of them horrendous.
What do you mean? Schult was a perfectly fine system.
I was talking about Fatal, my friend.
Oh,
Remember, we did a Fatal special.
we did a character creation of that. I don't know how far actually we got into that after.
I gave up because it was too much pain to deal with.
All I know is there's like 1,000 different spell mishaps you can do, one of which just kills everything. Not just the party, the entire world dies.
Oh yeah, you basically become Death Destroyer of Worlds. It's glorious.
Uh,
But no,
and
that is something I genuinely do think needs to be a thing. If you're already homebrewing 5e, look for other 20. There are other D20 systems that are out there in the world. And if you want a simpler game than a D20 system, look into the storyteller system. It's all D10s. You don't need to worry about things like D6s, it's all D10s. It's dice pools. Or if you want to try different IP games, again, look into the old West End catalogs, especially if you're a big fan of Star Wars and you don't want to try to play around with Edge of Empires. This is Adam's tip. If you're homebrewing the hell out of D&D, maybe find a new game aside from D&D and maybe try to get your very shy friends to get off of 5e. You can start with like even I don't like it because of the playtesting, but you could even start with like Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Just slowly wean them away a little bit. Give them a little bit of exploration room. Or just or you can always lie to them and introduce it as homebrew. I don't know. This is just me.
no, no, I got a perfect idea. You lie to them, and it's paranoia you're playing.
Oh, that'd be hilarious. I think they might walk though because of the whole character death, but that's a great way to get used to character death.
Except no, no, it's one of the they actually did a paranoia Warhammer crossover once. More was the paranoia going into Warhammer, but at the same time, just say, yeah, your fantasy characters wake up, they're in this strange complex with all these bald, you know, guys in different colored outfits wandering around.
The guy, your cleric who's wearing white, they seem to take with absolute deference.
Oh, oh yeah, no, that would be brilliant.
And then on top and then like what was it? I think the black suits equate to infrared. So you have your black knight. They literally just ignore him. Check your microphone.
How's it?
Staticky.
Hold on one second.
While that's going on, he does explain the other dice that you use too. Ah, here we go. We're actually at the character creation system. So, what we decided to do, since this is probably going to be the last of the 3-part series on this Rift book, is we're going to try to create the Great Warrior of the King, the holy warrior dedicated to the king, seeking to spread the Rockabilly faith and teach people the glories of. And hell no, that is still staticky as fuck.
Hmm.
Oh, Jesus wept. That's awful. But Rockabilly Crown, and also teaching people the joys of a peanut butter and banana sandwich. So they do it into. They apparently have 8 attributes rather than 6. And he explains a little bit. So the ones that we have to deal with are IQ, ME. Wait, does he actually? Does he actually explain those? No, he fucking doesn't. Excellent, high quality. Mmm, delicious. Oh no, it's right here. It's right here. I'm sorry. My ability to read has been damaged. So the 8 attributes are intelligence quotients or IQ, mental endurance, mental affinity, which is their take on charisma, physical strength. Oh, that's some. Oh, it's a character creation table with some very stereotypical 90s people. Burst into flames. I actually like this little bit of art here. Freddie Williams 2. They have a lot of D6s. I think I see a couple D4s as well. I like that bit of art. Oh god, and they actually give you percentages for all skills depending on what you get. How you doing, ImpCit? Is it getting fixed? Are you winning, son? They have a speed chart.
Hello?
I hear you, and it's fixed.
Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah, I was gonna say, do we want to start rolling for these stats then?
Can do. I have no. Okay, so what do I do?
Well, uh, I'm gonna roll for the first stat, which is the list apparently is IQ.
So,
I
do they tell you what dice you're supposed to use?
it's a yeah,
3
3d6.
6-sided. Okay.
For IQ, I got 11.
About average. Not bad.
All right. Next is was it ME, mental endurance. Ooh, I got 16,
So they're pretty sturdy when it comes to stress.
and I get a bonus to save versus psionic attacks and insanity.
So that's a +1, isn't it?
I guess so. So mental affinity is 11.
Not the most charismatic, but at least above average.
Physical strength is 7.
Frail. That's a penalty, isn't it?
I think so. Um,
Let's
Next would
see.
be,
They don't actually go into that.
let's see, it's a 7. Um,
I reckon they
I
just
think
don't
they
do penalties then.
I think they go into it later. But next will be physical prowess, 8.
Not very physically fit then. Also, if
Physical
at any point the stream cuts, it's because of the thunderstorm. Just a warning.
physical endurance is 9.
Very frail physically. I kind of like that.
Physical beauty is 11.
Okay, so it's before the Vegas Elvis.
And speed is 10.
I don't know what that translates to. Is it just 10 feet
Uh,
per second?
it says speed. Factor. How fast the character can run in yards or meters.
Now, to
Ooh,
be
they
fair,
didn't.
I've not ever played with this, so let's see.
So it says speed times 20 is the number of yards and meters you can run in a minute. So that'd be 10. So run either 200 yards or 200 meters. In 15 seconds, he can run 50 yards or meters. Why is
Uh,
it?
so his speed factor, I think, is what you rolled. What was that
Yeah,
again? 11?
that was 10.
That was 10 for you?
Mm-hmm. And
Where the
then,
hell's the speed factor? Oh, it's just what you roll and then you translate.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, Jesus. I'm just gonna put speed for run at 10. I don't know. This is a little bit
Yeah.
clunky.
So that's
Yeah, I ain't a
and I
fan of that. That's a little bit fucky wucky.
they do say what the attributes would mean. Attributes that exceed 30 are superhuman.
The
That are
speed
seven.
times 20 is the number of yards a minute you can run in a minute. Oh, Jesus Christ. I kind of hate that he has it. I kind of hate his speed factor is in this weird spiral. I hate that.
Yeah. So they do say what attributes are that are. So 7 and 9 are actually
They're
below average.
but within
6 and
normal.
under
Yeah, we didn't get any
is
6 and
fantasy.
under.
And they actually do make a point of the fact is, um, I guess
Oh, if you roll
that
several below average attributes, we rolled quite a few.
so if you roll like completely below, like you roll a 3 for intelligence, yeah, you're playing a mentally retarded character.
Yeah,
Uh, so they actually say, why would you do that? Because it's a challenge. Be able to think outside the box and do some actual role play.
and playing a character with an Achilles heel, which in this case, their average intelligence, their big thing is they're very tough mentally. It's just physically they're kind of frail, which you can do an interesting thing with that.
Yeah. Bonuses to compensate. If a character has one attribute below 7, add 1d4 plus 3 to any one of his attributes. If it's 2 or more, 1d4 plus 5 and another 3 or 2 to a character's perception.
I will say again, another thing I'm not the biggest fan of is his game designer notes are just kind of weird rambles he kind of inserts in there. I
So
get
what?
why, but like in a better designed book, that could be like you know those little tables or like little asides that sometimes exist in a book that are like in a little area somewhere.
Yeah.
That might help, I think.
What stats did I roll that were 7?
Physical strength.
Okay. So no damage bonuses from hand-to-hand combat, uh, and reduce throwing range by 25%.
Where the fuck is
It's like an
throwing
adult.
range?
It's I ever if the character is ever throwing.
Where the fuck is throwing range?
I, do, I don't
Oh,
know.
this sheet is okay. I'm already gonna be honest.
Uh,
Not as good as D&D already.
let me see.
It's not the
Um,
ugliest sheet I've ever played with. That still goes to fatal, but this is a bit clunky already.
hand to hand. I think it's on page 2.
Mm. Where's throw? Ancient weapons, modern weapons.
Hand to hand attacks. Third from the
Bonus
bottom.
0 to damage, 0 to strike, I guess. I don't know. Death blow. Fuck. Oh, there it is. Throw. -1.
Minus 25
Ah,
percentile.
that's okay.
And yeah, then a +1 is saved for Psychonic and Insanity for
I
M
already did
E,
that.
and nothing else was 7 or below.
And no bonuses to Trust, Intimidate, or skill bonuses, yeah?
Yeah. And then they go attributes beyond 30. Well, I believe for, was it for physical strength? If
We're
you have
not
30 or
getting
above,
30.
no, but you actually then do mega damage. And in fact, they actually have for a section of augmented strength, which is for, was it, crazies, cyborgs, juicers. They get their own special rules, which is just seems to be doing additional damage.
They go into. He does go into pretty elaborate details on bonuses to compensate for low attributes.
And weight is physical strength times 10. So it carries 70 pounds worth of stuff.
Wait, what? Where do I put that?
Um,
I'll be honest, I kind of blanked for a good half a second.
Weight, it's first page above OCC related skills.
OOC related skill. Mm.
I now understand why apparently it takes a few hours to make a character.
Yeah, and he just. Well, no wonder you want a bonus character just in case they die. No, that's just their weight in weight. That's how heavy they are.
Still, just put it there for.
No, that's not where it should go. I'm gonna be real with you. This guy's design is not good. It
Now,
actually is in some ways a little more frustrating than Fatal, and that thing uses fucking algebra and like actual nonlinear equations.
well, I guess we'll move on to then, I guess,
Fuck me.
step two. Just, we'll leave it alone for now.
Yeah. Where the fuck? Blah.
So
Fucking
now we
ew.
finally get to understand what hit points, SDC, and MDC are.
Oh.
Physical SDC. It,
So
it
so I'm going past supernatural and all this stuff. Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah. Uh, so now move to the other screen to find out what the hell the Rogue Scholar's SDC is. And we needed an IQ and an MA of 10 at least. So it's good. Um, let's see.
What's SDC again?
Uh, doesn't say either. Um,
So I already fucking hate this book. No
uh,
offense.
I don't see actually anything that says what the strength SDC is. So
It applies to
it
non mega damage combat, which almost never fucking happens in this book. I
in
hate
the
this.
so now it's 2d6 plus 12. That is 17 SDC.
Fuck. Where? Oh, 17 SDC?
Yep. Uh, and the character's hurt in SDC. Damage is subtracted from the points. When it's gone, then it's the hit points.
Okay.
But then there's
I.
also structural damage capacity
Oh, that's
and
what it's
armor.
called.
Yeah. It basic.
I.
So one of the things it does, I guess, if you're using SDC, if the attacker's roll to strike is higher than SDC's armor reduction, uh, then it penetrates and inflicts hit point damage. So SDC just acts as armor.
Hey, Jim. I'm struggling to understand this character creation method. I actually, to a limited degree, think this might be at least initially more confusing than Fatal, which is not good.
Well, next is hit points. So that is just whatever the physical endurance is.
So he just straight up has 9.
9 hit points. Um,
I mean, it's simpler, but it's also kind of a. Oh, I can't apparently type in the HP. What the fuck?
I mean, the other thing is, it doesn't matter. If I'm getting hit by an MDC, they're dead. You
Then what?
just
I
die.
still don't get the point of SDC because of that,
It's for different settings.
which means almost fucking nothing.
Yep. So mega damage just works the same as SDC.
I love how they didn't actually allow you to put hit points. That's so good.
I did get this from like a,
No,
I guess,
it don't
unofficial.
matter. It don't matter.
Um, so for our character, what MDC does he have? A suit of light MDC body armor.
Understanding mega damage. Oh boy. MDC materials are better than the heavy armor of a 21st century. I I legitimately am starting to dislike this book a little more and more now that I'm into the crunch. Oh man.
Well, so we know that we'll have mega damage armor. Um, and it's saying demons inflict mega damage, creatures of magic,
See,
mega
here's the
damage.
thing. Here's the thing. West End Star Wars, they had a similar concept, only what they did is it's called I think they had it as a scaled damage system. For example, the any blasters you put on a speeder does what's called speeder damage because it's scaled up. It's basically it's designed to fuck up a vehicle. So imagine turning that on people. So that's why it goes up by an order of magnitude in terms of damage. I don't know, like that. I get the concept, but it's just like every fucking fight on this planet uses mega damage, which makes
I
it
know.
kind of pointless to have it a different thing.
It's again the whole megaversal thing. It has
I
to
don't
connect to
care.
the other prior games.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. I don't care about Ready Player One garbage. I think it actually ruins settings when you do that.
All right. Well, moving on from mega damage, we're now determining if this character is a psyker.
Well,
I
what
got
was
the
his
roll
mega
percent.
damage rating?
He's a human. Doesn't have it until we get to the body armor, which
Cool.
I'm gonna go skills, and then we'll figure out what it is.
I like how even though you're more familiar with this setting than I am, you're still struggling to figure this out.
I've never done this before. I've just read through a bunch of these books.
Oh, it's so fascinating. Then you get to the mechanics. Wow, this is some happy horse shit now, isn't
I never really had a reason before.
it?
But psychic?
No,
Nope,
there
not a
are
psyker.
SDC weapons. It's just it doesn't fucking matter when 99% of every fucking combat encounter on this fucking planet uses mega damage.
And I've rolled an 84 for the psionics. I needed either a 1 through 25, so nope, not psychic.
So, what's the psyker thingy? Oh, determine psionics. So, no psychic
Yeah,
abilities.
nope. Next,
Not
pick an
psychic.
OCC.
Sorry. Okay.
So we're picking OCC then, and
What?
that is
Where the hell do I put the psionics?
nowhere because we don't have any.
No, where is it so I can just type none?
That would probably be page 5 of the.
Wait, this is a 5-page what a
Yes, it is.
don't mind me. I'm just gonna type something.
I
Where can I type it? Is there like a big area where I can just type stuff?
I would assume
Uh,
it's because it just has everything in it.
oh, I
I
know where
mean,
to put it.
character info.
Yep. I'm just putting it in campaign name.
But next is the OCC. I believe we're picking Rogue Scholar. So that will give us right off the bat in for our skills. So in the OCC skills section.
There we go. What was it? Sorry, I was busy typing in the campaign name.
Oh, the uh,
I
the
okay. He's not psychic. I don't know where to put the psychic. Oh Jesus! Why is this piece of shit 5 fucking pages?
because I picked it off a random site on the internet.
Well, here's the cursed thing, by the way, ImpCit. I think you need 5 pages for this thing. Maybe not.
Well,
Maybe the 4th page you can get rid of because that's your vehicle log. Maybe
yeah.
that. You might be able to get it down to like 4 or
I-
3 pages.
If you're not a wizard or a psychic, you just need, or you really
I
don't care about your campaign history or anything like that. It's just 2 then.
God damn, son.
I
No,
picked the
Squirrel
first one I
Killer
found
out.
that was
I'm
editable.
already not interested in this book at all, in this gameplay at all. It's not looking like it's a very fun experience to build a character.
But so, well, next,
The
continuing
rest
on.
of the Rift settings that extend far beyond Earth, I don't care. I don't care at this point. Like what? Do you go to Yuggoth? Or do they go into some of the other DB realms?
Yeah. Uh,
Do
what is
they
it?
also use mega damage, or is it just super special Earth?
Nope, they use mega damage as well.
Eh. Like I
There's one
said,
where
mega damage
there's,
is used too much.
however, there is one setting that does have a intergalactic society of wizards, as in they are magic users in a sci-fi setting.
Oh, the occupational character. That's the rogue thingy, yeah?
Yeah.
Rogue. What was it? Rogue Scholar?
Yep. So going through, they have a bunch of different abilities, but one thing they do have is a +1 to IQ, +2 to MA,
+1
uh,
to IQ, +2 to MA.
+5 to Perception.
Where's perception?
I don't know. Uh,
I don't know. Where's perception? Oh!
and 12 more to our SDC.
I unironically love that. Where's perception? Oh! Clunky I'm not kidding, Jim. I have when I created the thing in Fatal, that god awful thing, I actually sort of understood the process partially through. It was still a pain in the ass, but there was slightly more logic to it than this thing. At least at the moment. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you're right. I'm looking through. There is nothing in here that
They
has
don't.
a bonus to perception rolls. I don't know if that's supposed to be like a secondary skill or something like that.
No, you see, your problem is you didn't buy the 10-page character sheet, ImpCit.
Oh,
I'm so glad we're actually doing this tonight.
um,
Because
and
here's the thing. I knew Rifts was kind of clunky. I was kind of okay with it when we covered all the lore. To me, this shit is inexcusable. This fucking shit is inexcusable.
I'm not gonna blame the game on the fact that again
No,
I
I am.
picked up
The
just a rant.
motherfucker refused. Once he sets a rule, it is perfect as it is, just like how I should make my Sonichu comics in perfect Crayola model magic.
Well, no, I'm saying that this character sheet, I picked it up off a random site.
No, don't defend. Don't. No. Remember, the guy who made this almost certainly made that sheet.
I No, I don't think so.
Where's the actual character sheet for it here?
I,
Because
that I don't
most are
know.
because
I don't think I don't believe it comes with one.
I'm not mad at that because a lot of RPG books don't. Like, to be fair, like straight up, they don't. A lot do, but not all do. So that's not to me that is not a design failure.
I think this explains why I found a bunch that were either 5 or 4 pages.
It makes perfect sense. You add your high functioning maltodextrose to your AMC to your REP and divide by your LPA. You know, unironically, the fatal calculations calculate exactly like that squirrel killer, and I kind of understood that slightly more than this fucker.
But
I think that might just be something hideously wrong with Adam's brain meat, like just fatal clicks with him on a horrifying level more than this. So,
it should.
understanding mega damage. So basically, Rift's is super special. For some reason, he added mega damage. I don't know why. I still kind of mostly see it as pointless. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Though, Adam, we're past that now.
Oh.
We're we're on step 5.
No, we're on step 6, remember? Oh no, we still
Okay.
had all the things. We still had all
Yes,
of the
because now we need to go through the skills. So
Oh my god, Squirrel Killer has the same brainwave as I do. I have run fatal, and this is worse. Jesus fucking wept.
how do you how do you run fatal
You just do.
without having
Uh,
rolls that if you botch them, you go into a Russian roulette contest?
there is no Adam. There's only the Salt Golem that possesses his skin now.
So OCC skills. He gets a
What was the
50%.
one after Perception, by the way?
Uh, just add 12 to his SDC.
Okay, I did that.
Yep. So character will get a 50% bonus to native language, with which I believe in this setting is American.
Plus 50%, so already can read American.
Well, literacy of 3 others. So
What does level equal? Level percentage, what?
I guess it. I guess the percent increase that it goes up per level.
Oh, okay. 50% literacy. I have added literacy American.
So what other
I,
languages do we
I
want
don't
to
know.
add?
I don't know. You're the one who has the sheet. Oh, do I get to pick more?
Yeah, we get other 3 of our choices.
Well, there should be there. How about French, like Quebecois
Sure.
language? Language.
Well, this is actually
Oh hell!
literacy.
I just realized one of the negatives of this. Oh, I just realized I binded hotkeys in a way that might screw us.
I want to
One
use a Word
second.
document instead.
You can go through it bit by bit. I have to unbind hotkeys. I'm so happy. I almost pulled an episode 6 again. Don't worry, the stream has not stopped. I just, you can go bit by bit. I have to fix the hotkeys for a bit.
So we'll get 3 languages for literacy, but we get 2 additional for language.
Okay,
Uh,
first off, I'm gonna have to, okay, don't mind me. I just have to fix hotkeys so I don't screw things up.
uh, then we get appraise goods, basic math, computer operation, computer programming, creative writing, find contraband, history pre-riffs, history post-apocalypse, public speaking, research. We can either know how to pilot an automobile or a hover vehicle, a weapon proficiency of an ancient weapon, weapon proficiency of an energy pistol, energy rifle, or an SDC firearm.
Okay, good news. I fixed the hotkeys. Sorry about that, viewers. If you saw a little sensor guy, like the guy going, "We'll be right back," I had that as a thingy. We should be fine, I think.
So back to the literacy. So he knows how to read Quebecois.
By the way,
Um,
chat, can you make sure that you can actually see the screen, because I might have been an idiot and accidentally changed the hotkey for the showing the screen again. Also, what's the percentages?
for literacy,
Mhm.
30.
If you're wondering why I had to change the hotkeys, ImpCit, if anything used the number 4, odds are pretty good I would have accidentally killed the fucking stream.
That
I forgot about that.
um, so now we need just two others.
Okay, you see the character sheet? Okay, thank you guys. Sorry about that. Bit of a dumpster fire. I legitimately, as I mentioned, Adam had to go out and be a chauffeur. I had to speed eat dinner. So I had a whopping, what was it? You were there, ImpCit, like 5 minutes to get everything organized? Maybe?
Yeah, kind of.
So the third language, Native
Well, no,
Americans came back, yeah.
yeah, but well, which one?
How
Like which
about
language?
how about what's the language of the Haudenosaunee? Well, actually, no. Let's what no Cherokee. Let's go with Cherokee.
Cherokee. That's also at 30, and then we have one more we can speak, or we can read.
If you're wondering why Cherokee, like vaguely south, also Quebecer kind of works because French, and you know the West Coast is dead, so I couldn't use like Mexican and Spanish and stuff.
Um,
So either this was put on a site based on an earlier edition, since this edition doesn't have one, or a madman made one up. So what do you think, ImpCit? Did a maniac make this, or was this an old cheat? This
I
feels like
think a
an old
madman
cheat
did
to
it.
me. I think this is an old cheat.
Um,
Oh wait, no, a madman did make it because you can tell kind of. So we figured it out. A maniac made this. The last language. Let's make the last language something really stupid.
hmm.
How about Gullah?
I was gonna think Esperanto.
Esperanto is also really good. He can communicate to the devil in it. It's fine.
Well, no, no. This is just to read. It's not to speak. This is
Oh,
literacy. This is to read and write in Esperanto, a language that I guarantee you was probably dead before the apocalypse.
okay. Let's change it all to literacy since I was wrong.
Yeah, there's literacy and then there's language.
By the way, whoever made this sheet and didn't put the actual skills list, I hate them forever.
Oh,
Oh, you don't know
apparently
what Gullah is? So Gullah is an African Creole language that's native to the southern United States.
they actually
It's native to
doing
the
this
Carolinas.
in the skill section. They actually do list the 9 major languages: American, Technocan, which is English but in a universal computer techno language, uh, Spanish, Japanese, Chinese, Euro, which is a blend of Russian, German, and Polish, spoken by all humans, virtually all humans between England and China.
That seems a little bit stupid.
It's going to be a more cursed looking language than Welsh.
No, like that just seems like bad planning in terms of lore.
Dragonese, Elven, which are just magical tongues, Gobbly, spoken by goblins, hobgoblins, orcs, ogres, and then fairy speak.
I'm gonna be real. I think I came up with better languages than he did, although he'd strongly disagree.
Oh, Mongolian still spoken.
Mongolian
Uh,
still spoken, but you don't have like You don't have actual other languages over in Europe that would make more sense.
Russian?
Russian would make more sense. Actually, what's the strongest European nation again? Was it like Germany fighting the
Yeah.
Great Gaul?
New New German Republic?
Well, if that's the case, the strongest Euro language should probably be mostly German.
Yeah.
German with like some loan words from Russian, I'd say.
Also no French, actually.
French too.
Yeah, no, because again, it says Euro is a blend of Russian, German, and Polish.
So here's your question. Here's a question from Jim to you, ImpCit. What do you think's worst, Euro in this language, in this setting, or Swedenese from BattleTech?
What?
You don't know what
Sweet?
Swedenese?
Oh.
Okay, so the Korea Combine absorbed, I think it was Rasselhog. Those mostly spoke Nordic languages. There is a Creole that has a Swedish substrata with a lot of Japanese loanwords that uses Romaji as its writing script. Either Romaji or katakana.
If it's katakana, oh God.
Katakana
Jumanji,
customized to the Swedish and Norwegian languages, yes.
oh God.
What's worse, that or Euro?
I'm gonna say Euro, just because you just have you have how Polish looks, and I don't know if this is gonna be in Cyrillic or if it's in the
Oh
phonetic
no, it's
alphabet.
biscriptural. Like you see it first in Latin script, and then you see it in Cyrillic on the bottom. It's like in Canada.
Oh no, okay, then that's more cursed. That is actually more cursed.
Do you like the idea where it's like, okay, here's your script if you use Latin, and here's the Cyrillic script.
God.
It's the two language solution.
But speaking of language, uh, our character knows their native language at 98%,
So an extra. So literally, literally this guy can't fail.
pretty much, and 25% of two others, which I would assume we'd go.
This is in
Um,
literacy or language, right?
this is language, so this is speaking the language.
And what was the other one? 25% others.
So 25% I'd say in Cherokee and in Quebecois.
Yep.
So two separate. Uh, so you should have five skills at this point.
I'll be honest, I have no fucking clue where to put all of this anyway, so it's gonna look like shit, but whatever.
I think you put that. Yeah,
It
I
don't
say
matter.
put that there.
It don't matter.
Um,
It don't matter.
next, next is appraise goods.
Yep.
That's at 20.
I'm
Uh,
already there. I can type fast
eh,
when I want to.
basic math at 25.
He uses boogie maths.
Computer operation at 20.
So 20.
And then computer programming at 15.
I'm already not a fan that I have to actually type all this shit out too. What was it, 15?
Yep.
So this is the madman who made the sheet. I'm of the opinion that you shouldn't really have to type all these. I know why he did it because that's how the fucking system works, and I hate it for it.
Next is creative writing at 15.
Ah, this has very strong fatal energy.
Then find contraband at 15. History pre-riffs is 22%. Uh,
I,
history post-apocalypse is 20. We're almost there. Uh,
If you're wondering, I've kind of given up.
Public speaking at 20 and research at 30. We can then either know how to pilot an
Oh
automobile,
no, what was the other one?
research at 30. Uh,
Okay.
then we can either learn how to pilot an automobile or a hover vehicle. I assume an automobile and motorcycle probably would be best.
Yeah.
And we know automatic and manual
Well,
transmission,
no,
and
what was
this
the
is
percentage for driving a car?
uh, 10. And now I just realized that's our bonus on top of the base skill. Dear God, this is confusing.
I hate this so much. I hate this so much.
Just, or at least, we're at step 3 or step 5. 3 more to go.
18 more to go. Help me.
Next is weapon proficiency, ancient. So I'm gonna go to where the weapons are. And ancient weapons. So that can be
Oh,
anything from archery, axe, blunt, chain, forked, grappling hook, knife, uh, and what else? Polearm, quick draw, rope. Yes, we can have weapon proficiency in rope,
that's one of the weapons.
shield, slingshot, spear, staff, sword,
I'm already
targeting.
committed on rope.
I know. I'm going rope as well. And then we can either know how to use an energy pistol, energy rifle,
That's
or an
modern, yeah.
S or an SDC firearm.
Why the fuck would we want to use that?
I don't know. Well, I assume this guy's a scholar. He's not.
I
He
think
might.
energy pistol would be fair though.
Yeah. And hand-to-hand combat can be selected as OCC related if we want to.
Okay, so straight up, what's the UG hit with stick and modern technology?
It's just proficiency. It,
Okay.
it just it just means we're better. I think we probably get better
I
bonuses.
think you can tell exactly the part in where my brain just said fuck this.
Um, but now we go to the OCC related skills, in which we select 11, but 4 must be from the technical section. And we cannot get cowboy skills, but we can get things like domestic, which outside of the 4 we should probably lean on, because if this guy's trying to be like Elvis, that's where those skills are going to be in. But
I don't even
technical,
know. What are the skills that we're picking? Please
we're
help me.
we're, we're picking technical skills. So that's like uh appraise goods, art, begging,
I picked
breed
Rogue
dogs.
Scholar. It don't matter. I just want to get this over with. I hate this fucking character creation.
Let's see. What would make sense for an Elvis impersonator?
I don't know. I don't have it open.
Um, oh, well, if we have weapon proficiency in rope, we should get rope works and how to use various ropes, various knots.
There we go. What's the percentage?
They 30. Um,
Literally Rogue
mytho
Scholar, please. Like,
yeah.
I just, I want
Let's
this to
do
end.
mythology, which is again 30. Need 2 more. I was gonna go egging. again, is 30. And then why don't we just give him calligraphy?
Yeah,
Which is 30, 35. That's 4 down, 7 to go. And we can go for the domestic skills.
he needs to know how to make a peanut butter banana sandwich.
Yeah, no, because that's where we get that part. Where is... Here's domestic. Cooking. Yeah, cooking's at 35. Play musical instrument, of course. That's at 35. Um, there's no singing. Play musical instruments part of it, but where'd we get singing then?
I don't know.
Oh, I think communication. Um, no, but yes, actually, singing. 35. Performance at 30. That should give us how many skills?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh god, there's 3 more to go.
Wait, 7 or are we at 8?
I think we're at 8.
Let's see. We could do
I'm gonna be
S.
honest. I fucking despise this character creation
Uh,
shit.
S. Let's go for intelligence, which is 32.
Please, lightning bolt, end the stream, please.
Um, give him automotive mechanics, 25, and then I think science would probably be best. Um, well, no, let's see, math. You know what? Sure, just artificial intelligence. He also knows artificial intelligence. That's at 30.
There we go.
And technically there's bonuses that we apply to it, but let's just continue on with this.
Yeah, I fucking hate this. I'm not gonna lie. This has made me kind of hate rifts completely.
Oh, and then we have the secondary skills.
I'm so tempted to delete this sheet right now out of spite. I'm so fucking tempted to delete
Which I
this.
can't see, which I'm looking through the book, and I kind of don't see where they are. So I'm gonna scroll up,
I'm just gonna
see if I
make
could.
up skills. Fuck this.
Well, if he's Elvis, what would fashion?
Yeah,
Um,
fashion,
spying.
spying, and
Wait, did he spy for the FBI?
giving Richard Nixon a gun. That's a skill now. If you're wondering, after creative writing, I just kind of said fuck it and just make up words like find drugs to end it in Minecraft, begging for the dead boys to pull the trigger, Shibari bondage clown tech,
Oh,
and how not to make duck noises in public.
uh, give him horsemanship. Just general horsemanship.
Brokeback Mountain tech. Brokeback Mountain it is. Fuck this character creation shit.
Dear God, yeah, this is.
I fucking hate this. Okay, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Originally, I was gonna give a lot of benefit to the doubt, but as I'm making this character, this has made me really just Rift's shit. It is unintuitive, and no, I don't give a shit that it's old, therefore it's good because it has highly play fucking Traveler.
Yeah.
Play any West End games.
Um.
Play like D&D first or second edition in basic. I don't fucking care.
All right. Well, let's get to this.
Yeah,
Hopefully, quick. Alignment. So he has an alignment system of
it better have
good.
funky.
It doesn't have neutral.
Does it have
A
funky and
character.
square?
Well, no, because he says a character with absolute true neutral could not make a decision, fight tyranny, hurt others, go avenging, or any kind of action.
No, he's full of shit.
So he discovered the true neutrals, but before Futurama.
No, he's just full of shit. His take is full of
So,
shit.
so we have the good alignments of principled or scrupulous, which is either goody two shoes or the Batman, I would say, scrupulous. Then there's selfish, which is either unprincipled, uh, so just
I
criminal,
feel like this guy would be unprincipled personally.
or uh,
Not necessarily anarchist, but
well, no, because it says he views the law as well-intentioned but clumsy and ineffective. Actually, no, 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 it would make sense for Elvis,
yeah, I think
also because
unprincipled
this is
makes a lot of sense for him.
and then also the evil alignments are aberrant, miscreant, diabolic.
I I get that he's trying to be cute, but the fact he's just using Gygax's alignment chart and just read at true neutral makes me kind of go bleh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you
And
don't
then
have to have alignment, asshole.
and then we have the experience level system. Game designers notes. As I mentioned earlier in this book, every component of the Palladium game system has been carefully thought out, play
Bullshit.
tested, and
Bullshit.
fine-tuned for years
Bullshit.
and years.
You literally type this shit out and then refuse to fucking ever touch it or edit it, except for the point of keeping the rights. Fuck yourself. Go
Um,
fuck yourself. I made a character sheet using your system. It's shit.
so it
It's
basically
shit.
says is intended. The experience level approach is intended for a long-term campaign, uh, on the premise that all characters start at level 1.
By the way, the Thunder is agreeing with me or screaming at me. No, Rifts is actually secretly good. Come on, what are you on about? You could have the Terminator team up with RoboCop to beat up some Skullface boys,
He then goes on
alongside
a
their best friend, the Dog Boy Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You know, this makes me just want to. I think there's a new AD 2000 game. This really just makes me want to look at that. I want to look at the Judge Dredd RPG system. It probably is a lot more fun.
wait, 82,000 or 2000 AD.
2000 AD. I'm sorry. This is scrambling my brain harder than. What's the class that literally goes crazy? I feel like one of
The
them.
crazies.
I feel like one of them.
Basically, he spends a whole page just no, not a page, 2 pages justifying
Bragging about his superiority when he's
his
made a
leveling system.
disorganized pile of shit.
And yeah, go to page
Fucking
two
Christ.
295. Go to page
Fucking Christ.
that's
I hate
that's the
this.
leveling system.
I hate this so much. So, oh, he does different EXP because D&D Advanced did it. Oh, how cute! How cute! How creative!
And the only thing I could say
Again,
for
I'm
that
I'm
is
only pulling out the knives on this just because for the past hour I have honestly, honest to fucking God, I had more fun playing around with Fatal and character creating in that than I have in goddamn Rifts. Oh no, Squirrel Killer. This is legitimately one of the few things that will legitimately make me hate your book.
oh,
I am
and
of the opinion that unless you have good crunch or good like here's the thing, you need good crunch and you need good fluff. If you only have one, then your book fails. If your book structure is bad like this one, then it fucking fails. This is one of the things that pissed me off the most when I initially read Chalt. Its character rule system, which is unfinished by the way when you bought it, is at the end, just like this. It makes me think Derek legitimately looked at what's his name, Kevin's book here, and was like, "No, this is how you do it." The
Or if
only
he
thing
did, he
I
would have.
will grant Kevin is this. This is the only thing. His setting is a lot more interesting. It's just the mechanics absolutely fucking cripple any desire for me to touch it. I don't want to use his Palladium game system to this. I would rather play some bastardized Nightmare. Maybe use Savage Worlds. I don't know. Maybe something with slightly better structure. Anything.
Funny you mentioned that. There is a Savage Worlds version of Rifts,
I bet
an
it's better.
officially licensed one.
I bet it's probably better designed.
But on the experience points, it's about like 2,000 points to level up a character, and yet it says a great menace, for defeating whatever a great menace is
Which he
either
never specifies
150
because of
to
goddamn course.
400.
What if a
It,
book is no fluff and all crunch? Um, I've actually seen books like that. They're usually toolkits. In my experience, those are RPGs that are used as toolkits. Like basically, here's the rule system. It's designed to be just quick, simple, and you come up with your own thing. I think that's not necessarily a bad concept for an RPG design. I do think though that most people usually like RPGs because there's a setting that they can kind of play around in. Because let me tell you, that's one of the reasons Rifts actually kind of survived as well as it did. That and the fact that it's dirt cheap. Just that is one thing I'll give Kevin this. He makes a point to keep his books at about the same pricing as they always have been. It's one of the only things I'm going to give him. I genuinely think that his design and his crunch is awkward. It is awkward. It is not intuitive. It doesn't help that there's no obvious character sheet that's well thought out. It makes entrance hard, and since he uses acronyms and shit early on and just assumes you know exactly where to put, it makes this painful.
which I'm surprised that the OSR group hasn't taken this up.
Probably
I
because
think
it's
they
too, remember, it's too complicated. Their brain no understand. That's why they usually crib from 5e and then just insert stuff from basic, because both of them require little brain to use. Look, look, at the end of the day, a simple system is usually better than a complex one, but I don't know.
I mean, yeah, for example, there's a reason why Games Workshop is making a shit ton of money now, and they weren't about 10 years ago, because too clunky game system.
You need the right balance of having enough mechanics to actually describe certain events and just enough so that it's actually enterable. Like, to give you an idea, at the core of this, you know how I actually would probably play a Rift setting? I would just rip off the D percentile system that was used in Glorantha or Call of Cthulhu, to be honest.
Hmm.
It kind of has the same effects as this guy. The only problem is you'd have to completely homebrew all of the magic and psionic stuff, but you can kind of figure that out as you go along. Straight up, I think honestly, if you just took the percentile dice system, which this is essentially, at least partially, you could probably get a lot going for it just from that. It's still a bit, I mean, it's not that it's clunky, it's a little more involved than, say, a D10 or a D20 system, but it's at least comprehensible. You have some modularity with other systems. And last but not least, a big damning thing, in my opinion, is the fact that, keep in mind, ImpCit has to have two fucking screens open for this. And in the book, you constantly have to finger back and forth between your ideal classes to make this motherfucking thing. You have to skip, what was it, 200 pages about?
Yeah,
Back and forth? That's dog shit. I'm sorry, that's dog shit book design.
it, it yeah, really is. Um, but
It'd be less
now,
bad if his copies that he gives you via PDF don't do it by book page number, but if they actually had segments, that would have helped a lot.
but now we go to rounding out the character.
God. Oh yeah, his
This,
EXP is like 1 to 2,000 or something.
so this can actually be fun because now we can determine what our character actually looks like. So,
Fun in
Earth
air
Order.
quotes.
Uh, he is the second born of twins.
Oh, you got a pretty rare result.
There is another version of us running around.
Okay,
Wait,
so
wasn't there a movie about that of a guy who was like grew up and was like a alternate version of Elvis?
yeah, there's a few movies like that. So here's my problem. I'm gonna be honest. Actually the character sheet's fault, not the book. They don't actually have you. They have a very weak section for family.
Yeah, they
This character sheet sucks. I mean, that is partially damaging, I think, the character creation process. I do honestly still think this game is clunky as fuck. But it
uh
doesn't help that there is no actual character sheet. You have to find some asshole who made it itself.
I'm gonna I'm gonna roll up weight though. He is thin.
What's that indicate? Which would make sense. He actually has poor physicals. Keep that in mind.
Just that he's thin. Height is short.
That would explain
Uh,
his weak physicality. So I'm gonna make him a manlet at 5'4".
Age. Generally assume that they're between 15 and 32, is starting at first level, and let the player pick the age he'd like for the character.
What now?
So what age would you like for the character?
Let's go with 28.
Alright. Disposition. Shy.
Where's his age? Oh man, this character sheet is oh, there it is. Oh, new Dice Series character sheet chaos. Just shitting on bad character sheets and praising the good. Yeah, that could be fun. That could be
Um,
fun. I wouldn't want to do this too often though, because bad character sheet designs usually are the ones that get me the angriest.
so I roll a 43 for the environment.
No, what was
Old
their
Town.
disposition? I legitimately didn't
Oh,
type.
I put shy.
Okay.
Um, so he's from the Old Town Burbs, prosperous upper middle class city or town, minimal hardship or ethnic diversity.
Hmm.
Which actually no, well, here's the thing. They then say ethnic diversity for the new town burbs. However, it has racial diversity, and then small town metro community has DB and ethnic diversity were commonplace. So holy shit! I think does this actually mean that the coalition states they're not just Illinois Nazis, they are Illinois Nazis?
Yeah, probably. A reminder that he doesn't want them to be perfectly evil, by the way. Kevin, you're a weirdo.
Family origin.
Get me drinking sometimes, and I could do at least 3 hours shitting on a collection of alternate official D&D 5 sheets. That sounds
Uh,
amazing. That sounds like an interesting wild ride, Squirrel Killer.
so Earth
As for
native.
me, uh, I think my favorite iteration of the storyteller sheet is the 2-page variety because it gives you a little more ability to put stuff down. It's not as cramped as the 1 sheet, and it's not quite as fiddly as the 4 sheet monster, both in terms of digital and in terms of just like physical. They don't actually have a place for Old Town Burb, so I'm just gonna kind of put it somewhere.
It's just more origin.
Yeah, but this
Then
character sheet doesn't have it because it's badly designed.
then characters Earth native and human.
Okay.
Sentiment towards the coalition. 33. Respectful but wary. Knows the coalition is capable of greatness and ruthless savagery. Has heard of a great many things about the coalition, but doesn't have any strong feelings about them one way or the other. I guess
I mean
that makes sense.
that sounds about right.
All he cares about is Elvis.
Well, no, like like there's some good things for the coalition. I am
Sentiment
surprised
towards.
that you don't have one for your endowments. Uh, endowments, what, Dark Sun?
I think
Hey, there.
he's talking about character sheets.
Oh, you don't have one for endowments. I don't know. What's his thoughts on non-humans? Is he going to be horrendously racist?
I got a 56, so that would mean suspicious of everybody, human and non-human alike.
That is very Elvis. He was paranoid.
Although I'm interested in what was the 2125 because it says sees DBs and all non-humans as people to be exploited, cheap labor, slaves, cannon fodder, sex toys, etc.
Well, I think I figured out what Derek really fell in love with and ripped off a lot of because doesn't it feel like the more we look at this, the more Chalt-like it becomes?
I
Like,
mean, at least he ended up explaining some of the rules.
no, here's the thing with Kevin. He explains the rules. I wouldn't say perfectly, but he does describe every rule you need to know. The book's design is fucked up and a bit flawed. But if you had an editor, basically, if you told Kevin fuck off and like had some maniac stitch it together and reconfigure it, I actually think you could have had a fairly okay book. I still think the biggest problem is the Palladium character creation system is just a bit too clunky to make it fun.
Actually, I do find interesting about this sentiments towards non-humans. It doesn't go from like complete hatred to complete loving, because actually, complete loving is the second to last one.
Yeah,
96 to 0 still has this still has the character suspicious of dragons, magic creatures, and supernatural beings.
I
But
just like how
then,
he's suspicious of everyone. That's pretty
yeah,
fun.
but oh, hold on. Why does he want to adventure? Wanderlust.
By the
Wants to
way,
see the world.
this good character sheet doesn't have that, so I'm just gonna put it towards sentiment towards other things.
Then after that, it explains now all of the different skill rules and what they're for.
Oh, please no.
No, it does, including negatives
Uh,
to if you're in pressure situations. I do like just one thing. There's a whole section for cowboy,
okay,
and it's different from horsemanship.
okay,
You have a skill for branding.
okay.
I, I find that hilarious.
My humor was sucked out through my soul. My soul is now gone. It's replaced with fire and soiled in its conception. I don't even know where I'm looking anymore. My eyes are kind of trying to roll in the back of my head.
All right, let's instead then skip past
Skill
all of these.
penalty. Blah 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 blah.
Let's go to the insanities table,
I
page
mean,
330.
I'd like the skills more if this character sheet and there's just you know what? I'm gonna be a bit fair to Rifts. I've been shitting on it pretty hard. I will be slightly fair to Rifts. A lot of the horse shit also comes from the fact there doesn't seem to be an official character sheet. Because let's be honest, ImpCit looked through like what was it, 6 or 7?
I'd go a few.
At
I
least
was
at
trying to
least
find
four
one that
at
was at
least
least.
4 or 5.
I was trying to find one that was at least editable.
And the problem is that all of them are home brewed by some asshole. No, we're not playing Fatal Dark Sun, although honestly, sometimes I feel like Fatal's slightly better designed than this, at least a little bit. Little bit.
Uh, so with
At least in terms of book structure, in terms of the actual system, it is much worse in most ways.
actually, no, you do need to go to page 330 because there's a whole disclaimer on the mental illness section.
Oh boy, I can't wait for him to try to go like, please don't cancel me for talking
No,
about mental illness.
no, this is Sambita. It's to justify it.
Oh yeah, because he's very much of the Christian and Frank Sinatra. Oh, fuck it, I already wrote it once. I'm not doing it again, baby. I did it as perfectly as I can in my way. So fuck you. which there
So,
which can be admirable, but it also makes your stuff usually noticeably worse than it could be.
so it says designers note.
I'm just still skimming through all these skills, which
Oh,
I'm gonna
yeah,
be
there's a
honest, it's cool that he describes it all, but God, is it formatted in walls?
yeah.
Fuck. Okay. I finally got there.
So it says at the suggestion of then social worker and gamer Paula Leisure, Insanities were made an option and have appeared in Palladium products since the release of Palladium Fantasy RPG in 1983. We've always made it optional. It seems that most players, as in 97%, use and enjoy the Insanity tables. I think it's because A, it makes sense, B, there is much more openness about real life mental health, and C, an Insanity or 3 gives the character the classic tragic flaw.
Tragic flaws are based on personality problems like narcissism, well, hubris, arrogance, pride. Well, hubris and pride are the same. Hubris, the excess of pride. Narcissism, the belief in oneself being superior. Underestimating others due to arrogance. That is what a tragic flaw is. It is a flaw that ultimately culminates in your destruction.
And it says, please note, the inclusion of
What
mental illness
mental
is not.
illness does is it can make them a tragic character. For example, um, some of the better takes on Batman usually has him trying to help the rogues gallery, at least the more sympathetic rogues gallery, that try to do better, but their illness prevents them from fully going with the right way. Like a really good one is Batman Animated. The take on the ventriloquist in Batman Animated, where he does like he tries to reach out to Arnold Wesker, but the Scarface personality essentially bullies him into following whatever his plan is, no matter what. Because in animated, there's a bit of a supernatural element to Scarface in it, personality outlet, and that's why one of the coolest episodes is actually he gets cured, and while he almost relapses, he's actually saved. Like Batman actually got to successfully see one of his villains get reformed, which I thought was pretty cool. Like to me, it's not a tragic flaw. Like it can create a tragic character. Gollum himself is like a good example of that, where he's broken and twisted by the ring, and there's still elements of the good in him.
Mhm.
Like just because who, at least that's my point of view.
I mean, yeah, no, the ring literally turns you into a self-obsessed weirdo.
Hmm.
So that and how many years was he isolated from his community? Gollum?
Uh, Centuries.
Yeah, that's gonna do a number on you.
Also, yes, Scarface's ex thugs were trying to get Wesker to relapse. But no, like I really liked that episode. It's one of my favorite in Batman animated because they did a lot of false reform episodes. The most well known is the one where Harley Quinn tries to go straight, like she's not Harley anymore, she's Harleen, fucks it up. Basically had a bad day and relapsed, had to go back to prison. Well, Arkham, I should say. But yeah, the inclusion of mental illness is not meant to belittle or make light of them. I personally know, I that has the same energy
Plenty of
as
my friends are mentally ill.
that has I have many black friends energy.
I have the greatest respect for the healthcare professionals who struggle equally hard to help these tortured souls. However, none of that changed the fact that having insanities in a role-playing game is interesting, appropriate, and fun to play.
Well, it can be an interesting kind of draw. Like you have this kind of tragic aspect, or like there's a reason why Malkavians were so popular in Vampire the Masquerade. Although the problem is it also draws people who are like, haha, I could do whatever I want because mental illness, lol.
Also, scroll down. What the fuck is that picture?
Oh, that was my face actually when I realized we still had 11 more skills to go.
I mean, that looks more like moaning rather than in terror.
Oh no, it wasn't terror. It was resigned. Oh, thank God, the sweet release of dopamine from drugs or something. I don't know.
Um,
It looks like he just nutted in something.
yeah, it looks like no, it looks like he's like a tree being or like a face on a tree, so it's like a tree just nutted.
Oh no, Treebeard nutted all over Pippin and Merry. He has no Entwife, so that he made them his.
I'll make you my end wife.
I, I'm not gonna lie. Whenever Kevin does this, I think it detracts from the book. Whenever he tries to justify, because it comes off sometimes as whinging, if you know what I mean.
You could just easily said this was made in the 80s and 90s.
Or you can
These
just publish it and not give a shit. Maybe leave a disclaimer near their beginning going, this is work that was done in the 1980s and 90s, reproduced in the style it was back then. Expect references to old stores that no longer exist, some insensitivity, but it is an artifact of its time, and then just go from there.
uh and then it's saying why people can get trauma, but the random insanity tables are
Also,
interesting.
yeah, Batman works because most of his rogue gallery, if they do have any powers whatsoever, it's usually subtle, minor, and a bit supernatural. It kind of works.
Or scientific.
Scientific as well. That's why one of the weirder takes that I think was pretty neat was having Solomon Grundy occasionally be a Batman villain, because that kind of plays up the supernatural weirdness, which kind of works for him.
I thought he was a Batman villain.
No, he started life as a Green Lantern villain.
Huh?
If you're wondering why, the very original Green Lantern had a weakness that's actually forgotten about usually.
Wood.
Yep. And Solomon Grundy, being mostly made out of plant matter, essentially he could mostly shrug off his Green Lantern attacks. Not perfectly, since he still had some meat left over, but basically it didn't affect him too much.
Oh.
He was not quite perfectly, but mostly immune to Green Lantern attacks. He's
But
also an
uh,
imperfect reincarnation, a perfect reflection of the Green, similar to Poison Ivy. Kind of like a flawed prototype, essentially.
um with the random insanities, you can get reborn. It completely changes their alignment.
Does it also cost you experience like it used to do in older D&D?
Nope, because it's an insanity.
The Neurosis table?
Oh yeah, and then you have another table to compulsive liar.
See, tables
Uh,
are fun. The
so,
character
so you
creation was not.
um kleptomaniac.
Yeah?
You get an obsession, a phobia, an affective disorder, a hypochondriac,
Yeah.
a
Psychosis
psychos, recluse, homicidal rage,
and addiction.
and your affective disorders: mania, bipolar, which can switch between balanced, depressed, and manic.
You can definitely tell this person has never. You can tell Kevin never worked with someone with actual bipolar. It's not offensive. It's just he knows the basics but gets some of the details wrong.
And you do have to gamify it, which
Well, no, because there's the type which tends towards depression, and then there's your mood swinger one, which goes between manics and depressive. Like, remember, there's another type of bipolar where you're mostly depressed, and then every now and again you have a fairly good mood period before. And then there's also called myotonic, where it's just you wake up that day and it determines whether or not you're going to have a good or a bad day. Because there's a mild form of bipolar where you just wake up and it's like, oh, this is going to be good. Oh, this is going to suck.
uh, let's see, frightened by loud noises.
That's not really an affective disorder, but okay. I think it
You
just
also
needed
wet
something to fill it in there.
you also wet yourself if you have this because of the loud noises.
Classy.
Death wish,
Oh
which
yeah, the
wants to
Charles
die.
Bronson movie. Did you know they made
Hates,
multiple of them?
yes, including Death Wish 3, in which they kill everybody.
Hey, look, it's the Smash the Beatles. Smash the Beatles,
Oh,
smash them.
atomic reaction or autonomic reaction.
That's
Um,
actually the correct term for the handshaking.
oh, trauma-induced migraine.
Oh, there's 6 types of bipolar. Yeah, I knew there was more than just the than the three that he listed. Trauma-induced migraines. These are not really affective disorders in my experience. I'm not saying it's insensitive. I'm just saying like affective disorders usually affect like your personality and perception of the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
It's
mean, I'm
also how you present yourself to public, somewhat.
yeah. Um, outraged by acts of violence.
Which that okay, that one's kind of dumb.
Hates music and musicians.
That's also kind of dumb.
Intimidated by the spoken language when under threatening, frightening, or pressing or pressure situations.
That's called selective mutism, but okay.
And hysterical blindness.
Which is a thing. Like that is a genuinely a thing that can sometimes happen. Although that's
Yep.
not necessarily due to it can be due to mental state, but it's also just like your blood vessels contract and it squeezes your eye nerve so you can't see.
Uh, neuroses then. Anxiety, in which case you then switch every 8 hours to determine uh, uh,
Honestly,
mild anxiety.
it should just be once a day.
Yeah, because
And
oddly
you
enough,
roll again when you face a stressful situation. You get what I mean?
a true crisis situation may not make the character feel worse. Uh, then panic attacks.
Really frequent headaches can change how you react to the world. Yeah, yeah, Jim. Really frequent headaches can. To give you an idea, headaches can very easily make you quicker tempered or just make you miss stuff because you're just kind of not attentive.
Yep. Um, you get panic attacks. You get a fear of animals. This is not just a phobia. This is a complete fear
No,
of.
this is a phobia. I feel like
Although
he
it says
just,
more than a simple phobia.
dude, that's what a phobia is. That's
I'm just reading
literally what a
what it's.
phobia is.
I'm just reading what it says in the text. Disgusted by anything sticky. Fear of the dark.
Disgusted by anything sticky, that's just like a normal quirk. Also, fear of the dark is a phobia. He has
Yeah,
a phobia table, yeah?
yeah. That's why it's like this is.
No, no, don't
Uh,
justify it. This is Kevin realizing
no,
he
no.
couldn't figure out like
I'm
some
saying
more
this is we. I'm
neuroses.
not. I'm not. This is something I'm not justifying. Like,
It
yeah. Why
sounds
would you
like you
have
kind of
this
were.
here?
Yeah,
I don't know.
this is
Worried about.
clearly a type of phobia. It's noctophobia. It's very
Yeah.
common.
Worried about germs, disease, obsessed with cleanliness.
That's mesophobia, dude.
Is it close?
Mesophobia.
No.
The fear of getting covered in germs. I mean, if you
Invasion.
wanted to make it like a cluster C personality disorder where it's obsessive compulsive, I'd agree with you. But like, what the fuck is this?
Uh, then apparently invasion of the body snatchers.
Um, this one is actually a variant of the Capra's delusion, I think.
What is that?
Where you think people have been replaced by duplicates because your
Oh,
facial recognition software is malfunctioning. Like your head has the ability to interpret like people's faces and voices. With people with Capra's delusion, they legitimately see everyone as replicants because they're not acting like the person in their head because their ability to recognize them has been either damaged by chemistry or trauma.
wait, if they're acting like replicants, wouldn't
Well,
that mean
no,
that they
no,
would?
they think they are. They don't think they're the person that they say they are.
Oh,
It's a thing that can genuinely happen. It's either due to a chemical psychosis, like a chemical issue in the brain, due to some damage sometimes, or just due to a bad case of trauma. Basically, it
uh,
usually happens after a psychotic break, or
so
if you just have like chemical problems.
so one thing I see, there's an obsession with cleanliness, but then later there's the personal cleanliness.
Well, yeah, because obsessive compulsive disorder does not necessarily mean yourself. It could just mean you need things in an exact certain way.
You know what?
And I'm not shitting on Kevin for doing this. It's clear that he wants to introduce like genuine actual illnesses. which can affect the quality of life of a character. It's just he didn't read up on it like I did and what others people had. He had less resources. You got to remember this is written in
Yeah.
the 80s. He did not
Yeah.
have the internet. And
Like what?
he did not have the books on psychology that I went through when I was younger.
One thing I think
So
probably.
I'm not crapping on him for this. I
Oh,
actually
yeah.
like he's doing pretty good. It's just there's like a couple of things I'd probably move around.
One thing I think that he could have added would have been Truman Show syndrome, or I guess like a main character syndrome. Like you think,
Oh yeah, Chuninbyo, or alternatively, you should also have the it's reverse, the imposter syndrome, where everything you think is just like you're not as good as you think you are. Well, no,
there is
you don't think you're as good as you actually are.
fear of success,
Yeah, self sabotage. That's genuinely pretty good.
and then obsessive compulsive about safety security.
Yeah,
Then onto the psychosis table.
I
Fascination with
mean,
death.
the effective one is the neurosis. Like his choices are a bit fucky, but like there's actual things here.
Yeah, fascination with death in all its forms. Uh, paranoia,
Yeah, that makes
manic,
sense.
manic depressive,
Which is just another
paranoid,
variant of bipolar.
paranoid schizophrenic.
Paranoid schizophrenic. The thing is
I
that
think,
also means you're hallucinating images and people whispering to you. You're usually
yeah,
partially out to lunch because your brain is legitimately communicating with itself and distracting you.
isn't
You sometimes
isn't
hear
it?
voices, you sometimes see images, sometimes you're just out to lunch because your brain is talking to itself and you're not able to focus.
Don't we call that dissociative identity disorder?
No, that's when you get abused so badly you invent someone else to take the punishment for you.
Oh, um,
Basically, a dissociative identity disorder. You essentially blank out in a different personality with possibly different skills and accesses to your brain, and personality takes its place.
hmm. uh,
It's
over-inclusion.
random, partially, by the way.
See, uh, over-inclusion, a mental perception in which the character draws irrational and relevant associations and conclusions from the facts. 2 plus 2 equals 52.
That I kind of get it, but that one doesn't feel legit. It feels like a space filler.
Yeah. Superman syndrome. You're stronger
Main
than
character syndrome, yeah.
yeah. Because then there's also God syndrome. Oh,
That's just delusions of grandeur.
yeah. Also, do you notice the creepy magician? Or no, I think it's just supposed to be Jekyll and Hyde thing.
Kind of. It also kind of reminds me of Scarface a bit, like the puppet from Batman in the comics.
And also hysterical aggressive reaction. And but then there's also hysterical aggressive reaction to a fear or phobia.
The hysterical aggressive reaction. So basically, what happens is a person literally gets triggered. He even uses the word trigger. Hysterical
Then there's
aggressive reaction to a fear or phobia. This just feels like a fight or flight thing.
then there's mindless aggression, in which you can perhaps 5% get non-functioning homicidal maniac. And there's Jekyll and Hyde syndrome, or just Jekyll and Hyde. And then uh, become a psychiatrist. The character thinks that he is a psychiatrist and sees ordinary quirks, legitimate fears, and concerns as various disorders or phobias.
That's like, I get it, but like this one's kind of clunky too.
And it feels like that's a bit more silly. Just again, the way it's worded, I initially thought it was you're
Like
basically saying
I'm not
psychiatrists
expecting it
are
to
mentally
be
ill.
like here's the thing, it's Rift, so I don't expect it to be 100% serious. But I think what would have helped is if he just had access to like a psychiatry or psychology book or two. Just a little bit, like just to get a little bit of a background to get some cool ideas.
And then the phobias, which, well, there's one way
Perfectly
to
fine.
ensure. Yeah, well, no, there's one way to ensure that you scare a player off. Arachnophobia, because you have a big picture of a spider.
Good job. I will say it's kind of funny that the phobia one is so simple.
Magic involving the elementals. A lot. No, these are both like phobias from the real world, and then Psy Stalkers.
Well, stuff that
Magic,
you legitimately probably would be afraid of.
like coalition robot vehicles, because those are just giant walking skulls with lasers.
I mean, the Zerg bootlegs, the Zeta 6 or whatever, would probably be filed under entomophobia. Let's be fair.
Um, Invisible. Okay, until a creature turns invisible.
Um, Here's the thing: there are actual phobia names for all of it. He just couldn't be bothered to find them.
Well, is there a fear for necromancers?
Possibly.
That necrophobia is dead, so
There is the fear of the dead, yeah, which it would probably apply under.
reptiles and snakes, a specific uh, supernatural predator or trickster, flying by any means. Police. Is that a real one?
The fear of the police, yeah, that's a genuine fear.
Dinosaurs.
That one not so much, but honestly, to be fair, if dinosaurs came back, I probably would be terrified of, say, like a troodon sneaking into my house and like threatening to eat my children or a house
I mean,
cat that I own.
there are parts of Earth's Earth where there are dinosaurs.
Yeah, I mean, like running into a
Some of them are,
T-Rex would genuinely be pretty scary.
and some of those dinosaurs have psychic powers.
Imagine you're walking and you hear a low groaning noise that rattles your bones, and you start hearing heavy thuds. Because, fun fact, the T Rex's actual bellow, it's not like the Jurassic Park one at all. It is infrasonic and it will legitimately rattle your bones and cause your spine to creep up to your neck.
How do we know this?
Because they managed to find replications of they managed to kind of replicate based on their nasal passageways of a vocal cord for it.
Oh, God.
It is a low, almost subsonic lowing noise similar to an elephant or a rhino that you can kind of hear for miles. At least if you can hear in that wavelength. If you're
Oh,
closer, you actually can feel it vibrate through you. So
I kind of
imagine
want to.
feeling that, and then you see a big, gigantic, feathery monster thing just kind
Oh
of
yeah, they had.
trotting around
Yeah, they had feathers, didn't they?
a little bit. I think with T-Rexes they had them when they're young and they fall out when they're older.
Um, One succubus and other demons with a female persona.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just kind of ready to move on because there's like a
I,
hundred phobias, dude.
there's always a bunch with magic. It's just specific type of magic.
Yeah, I think that's just bad. I think that's just slightly bad design
Uh,
because
Books.
he couldn't come up with like actual phobias to fill it in. Like straight up, it's
Oh,
almost 2 hours. I want.
no,
I
no, hold
still
on.
have like
Eh,
50 pages, man.
Tarn and her
I
books,
am gonna crash this stream, no survivors, if you don't move on, please.
Emperor Prozac and the entire Prozac family. Those are two phobias that they.
Why the fuck specifically those two?
The only thing I could see is believing that like the books are like heretical or you know
Like
coalition
okay,
propaganda.
I'll grant you this. If it wasn't for the fact my brain was destroyed by that character sheet, I would happily spend like another 20 minutes on this because there are some weird specific shit. I didn't like the Prozac thing is so silly. Ugh.
Well,
Like some
then
of
we
these legitimately you can just fuse together, but he just doesn't do it. Probably because he wants exactly 100 phobias, you know?
yeah.
It's
Are
just the
they?
problem is
Yeah,
he,
no,
he
he
doesn't
does.
know all the phobias you could have out there.
Um,
For example, does he even have claustrophobia? I don't think he does.
um,
I don't think he
yes, no, he
does.
does.
Where
He
is it?
does. 26. Confining enclosures.
What about, does he have the opposite, fear of wide open spaces with a lot of people?
Uh, Crowds. Onkolophobia. It's 96.
Does he have agoraphobia?
I think so.
All right. He does have ophidiophobia. There's a bunch of other phobias that he could have easily,
I
because some
believe
of
the
these I
official,
think you could
yeah,
splice.
the official ones or the real ones have the parentheses in them.
He does mention entomophobia. Like, to give you an idea, the Zittisix probably should be also with entomophobia because that's what they are.
Uh,
Like, not quite, but similar enough.
Anything related to the number 13.
That's a specific. Yeah, that's a real phobia.
Mhm.
Like I said, straight up, there's other phobias he could have listed. I think some of these should have been combined. I kind of want to move on. My brain is starting to hemorrhage in on
Right.
itself.
Well, then random obsessions. Uh, the opposite sex.
Yeah, that's just called nymphomania.
Wealth, money,
Oh wait, no,
magic.
that's misandry or misogyny, depending on which variant.
Uh, well, it's either love or hate. Uh,
Ah,
uh, specific
Sophilias and miso
phobia.
whatevers.
Yeah. Leadership, crime busting, or monster stopping. And then there are cures for insanity now, including therapy. How do you get that in this world? I don't know.
No clue.
Then there's addiction, including effects to the character when they are intoxicated, uh, withdrawal symptoms. Then finally, combat rules,
Yeah, don't you like how all this shit and then combat out of nowhere?
which I will explain quickly. It is D20. You
Okay.
you do initiative, you get attacks, you roll your attacks. If it's a 4 or less, it misses. Cover, obviously, the effects of that.
I like how armor rating doesn't apply if you have mega damage, whatever. What does what does this do? There's no armor rating to worry about, and the attack either hits or misses. As always,
And
a roll of 1 to 4 misses. Roll a 5 or higher on a D20 is a potential strike. I like how he says, as always, like you've already played all of his other Palladium games. The only aim for a defending character to avoid getting hit and taking mega damage is to parry or dodge. I actually kind of hate that. So, okay, I'm going to compare it to a game that does parry and dodging, and I think it does it a lot better. Have you ever heard of the game called Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay?
no,
You've
I've
never
never heard of
touched the
anything called
RPG.
Warhammer. No, I've never heard of anything called Warhammer.
Ah, okay, you're fucking with me.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah, no, I'm fucking with you. I know about fantasy.
but specifically the RPG game for it, from first to
Oh, yeah,
fourth
yeah,
edition.
yeah.
So, the way it works is it's percentile based, and it actually is partially based on the actual minis game a bit, at least in terms of like some of the basics for it. So what happens is you roll to hit. It's a D100. If you go over your weapon or ballistic skill, which you should know, you miss. You just straight up fucking whiff. If you roll under though, you have the potential to get shot. Now with ballistic skills, depending on if you're dealing with say an arrow or a gun you probably can't dodge, but like an arrow, you could use a shield to parry it. So you come up with either dodge blow if it's physical or parry if you're dealing with something you can't dodge. And you get one ability, you get the block or dodge one attack. And you get to, because you can get attacked multiple times, you can only do this twice. If you succeed on your parry or dodge, you just basically say, lol, fuck you. And then the attack hits. Does it go through armor? The armor sucks up some of the damage, any leftover gets applied to you. Doesn't that make a lot more sense than just having armor rating and then throwing that out the window for mega damage and then saying lol on 1 to 4 you miss, but then you have to constantly parry and dodge? Doesn't that make more sense? Doesn't it make the flow of combat faster?
I would assume so.
Do they actually? With 50 mega damage armor or locked in combat, they must roll 5 or higher to strike. Will strike unless the defender parries or dodges. Do they only get to dodge or parry once?
I think it's per attack.
That oh Jesus, that can cause fights to fucking take forever.
Something like that.
Fuck that.
I again, I've never played this game.
Oh yeah, hey Pagan Pilot. 1 mega damage if you don't have mega armor capacity, mega damage capacity. Like if you don't have any mega armor, yeah, you'll just instantly die because it does like what was it, 100 times the damage result.
Yeah, so
You're
I
just
mean, as long
dead.
as you have,
You're just fucking dead.
well, no, if you have SDC of 101, you'll live. Otherwise, you're
Which
dead.
ain't happening. It probably ain't happening. And everything in the setting does mega damage. I legitimately I literally feel like mega damage is pointless since Rifts just kind of everyone uses mega armor and mega damage. But you can bring people from other dimensions that I don't care because you know what happens in the first fucking session with those guys? They get mega armor. There's no fucking point. Like you get what I mean? Like there's almost no point.
Well, no, I could see there's a point.
No.
If you want to play just a murder hobo game and you just want to kill people in one hit.
Honestly, this is just making me want to play the West End Star Wars game so I could do speed or damage to everyone by blowing them up.
Oh, don't forget, there's all sorts of different hand-to-hand combat attacks that you can do.
And I just hate the fact that you have the opportunity to parry every time because I can envision how that can make combat take for fucking ever.
Well, let me
It's done
let me
automatically. Parry blocks the attack or strike, preventing damage. Uh, physical mega damage, physical attack can be parried or blocked by another MD. Weapons should be parried only with another object. Parry is performed by those with combat training, defending or dodging. Nope, yeah, you can just kind of do it forever. That's fucking oof. Or use Palladium fantasy setting for. No, if I have to pull more than one book, I think it fails as a book gem. I'm straight up of the opinion that, like to give you an idea, I think I've mentioned it multiple times, but I legitimately hate Vampire the Requiem to a degree. I think it's good, okay, and it's definitely better than Vampire 5th Edition. But the problem is to actually play it in a way that's actually entertaining, you have to first take two of its books. You have to take Vampire the Requiem First Edition because its fluff is notably better for all the covenants and compacts. And then you have to use the crunch from the second edition book, which is noticeably an improvement and gets rid of the weird predator standoff that the first edition had. It makes it really unwieldy and makes me want to strangle the devs every time I fucking want to do it. There's a reason why out of all of the old World of Darkness books, Masquerade wins by a goddamn landslide every time for me.
oh, by the way, forgot to mention, all that you're reading over right now, that's just for melee combat.
I know guns are like super OP because you can just say lol fuck off and just shoot them.
No, the range combat section just provides their just like bonuses to strike or dodging. Yeah, no, dodging is just what's it? -10 at point blank range based on the PP attribute bonus and any attribute or OCC bonus to dodge. Must match or better the shooter's roll to strike to make a successful dodge.
I agree completely with you, Squirrel Killer. I shouldn't need more than just your core rulebook. I am strongly of the opinion that if you constantly sell or bring up your other books, your base book, if it's good enough, should be the only thing you need. And then from there, you can expand from there. And play Palladium Fantasy, it's its own game. I don't know about that, Chief. Is it just as busted as this book? I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say no to skimming it. I'd probably do it off Dice Scum time to see if it's actually, You know what? I'll say this. after the end of this, I'll legitimately see if I can get a copy of Palladium Fantasy or just take a quick skimmy at it. And if it's just as borked, I will say it. I will say if it's borked or not. I suspect it is because it's the same writer. Let's be fair, ImpCit. It's the same writer, so it's probably going
Yeah.
to have the same faults and foibles, just without the
Well,
mega damage.
it shouldn't have missile combat, which, yes, is separate from guns.
Uh,
As you they, as you roll direct hits,
oh,
blast radius,
I
and then
actually
impact.
okay. I'm gonna be real with you. I goddamn hate I hate the melee combat. I legit
Yeah.
hate the melee combat.
Oh, and then there's psychic combat.
I am straight like the more I read how this game works, the more I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should finish my
Oh,
ugly NTR'd troll who became a fuckboy. Maybe I should finish him and play Fatal instead.
hold on, wait a minute. Finally, at page 367, we get perception rolls.
Oh no, I have to go. Oh god, he has hand to hand for each of these? Fuck!
Yes! We're almost there. We're almost there.
Okay, where am I? Surviving mega
Something.
damage attack. That art's pretty cool. I'm surprised. Actually, you know what's fucking cursed? I noticed this entire segment has more art than everywhere else in the book.
Uh, so perception.
Designer's note. Oh no no. I want to read this. Designer's notes on mega damage. Some critics have complained that the mega damage system is too uneven. That a human without armor going up against an MDC opponent is dead meat. Yeah, just like you or I would be dead meat going up against a tank or an assault helicopter. I raise you manpad, you stupid son of a bitch. Have you ever seen a javelin missile? There's a reason literal dudes can just hide in a shed and fucking murk them in one hit. Well, that explains mega damage because you used a mega damage weapon. Blah, 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 blah. But what's the point of mega damage at all? What's the literal point? Like to give you an idea, you know what? Here's the thing, right? If you told me, "Hey, Adam, how would you work on rifts?" I would actually keep mega damage, but do you know where I'd probably keep it at? You know those you know the mecha walkers and like the really bulked up robots and the demons and stuff? Those guys get mega
Yeah.
damage. I would actually have like 3 levels of damage. You have standard damage, super damage, which is where you're like supernatural monsters that aren't like stupid powerful, like a vampire or like a dude in power armor would do, which does 10 times more. And then mega damage, which is like you're fighting a fucking demon or a goddamn chicken walker with a skull face.
That
Yep.
actually that would work.
I'm basically ripping off Star Wars, which did the same thing with its weapon size categories in the West End games. And because of that, you don't make standard damage completely worthless. Like you have like let's say a glitter glitter boys, since they're so souped up, they get power armor. And if they're rich enough, they can get mega armor, which is super powerful power armor that's like a little nuclear robot that allows them to destroy everything.
Yeah, no, this would entirely work.
No, I'm not shitting on Warhammer Fantasy Dark Sun. I was using it as an explanation for how to actually, because the flow of combat in Warhammer Fantasy is actually really smooth. In this game, because you can parry as many times as you want and dodge as many times as you want in melee, fights like that take for fucking ever. You have to pull the Indiana Jones thing and just shoot them with the pistol. And even then, that might not do it. But where was I? Assault helicopter. The player needs to use his head and hide until he can get the gear to take on an MDC opponent. You get his own tank and blah blah blah. Life in a specialty war is not fair. I made this stupid mechanic and didn't come up with a reasonable system so everyone usually has mega weapons. Because that's my biggest problem. You get it? You get it? Mega weapons are way too common. Like most encounters seem to use mega damage, you know?
Actually, I don't think there's actually not that many SDC weapons at all.
Do you get why I think that this setting's kind of dumb and his explanation doesn't mean shit to me?
I wonder if they removed SDC, would it then make sense?
It would actually help a lot. Or alternatively, make it so that mega damage weapons are for specific classes of weapons. Like, let's say your standard, your standard dead boy, and then he shoots me. Let's say their guns do super damage. Like you introduce an intermediate area between mega and standard, and then you have a more common variety of standard, which is what's pretty commonly used by areas outside the CS, or like boony areas, and they're usually pretty good about fighting most creatures except for certain monsters like the Zerg, right? Because the Zerg have hide that can take up to mega damage, depending on what form you get. Then I'd introduce super weapons. This would be like your standard kit, and this does 10 times damage to mega to standard. And that would be like your energy weapon. It's kind of like in Fallout where you have your energy and plasma weapons at this stage. And then Mega is specifically your super powerful shit. Like the most flashiest of glitter boys have this shit. And this is like your demons and armored war robots.
That would make sense.
Basically, my problem is almost everything uses Mega damage. That's my big problem with the setting. So let's see. Where was it? Uh, Humans are at a great disadvantage and have been for a very long time. No, our brains literally is why we're an apex predator, Kevin.
We only use 10% of it.
No, actually, we use a good amount of it. It's just different levels are at different activity points throughout. Like to give you an idea, more different parts of your brain light up, so it's like technically true, but not really.
I know, I had a feeling that would have been a justification he would have used.
Is this fair? Yes, fair and realistic, and it works. More than 1 million people. Did he just pull that number out of his ass?
I think so.
Perhaps one can think of two modes of life, MDC and SDC. The MDC life is wandering through the wilderness, exploring the world, taking on mega damage threats. It's what helps sets your character apart. He or she is out of the ordinary. No, they're goddamn not, you clown. Almost all of your weapons do mega damage, you fucking idiot. If it was the other way around, like how I did it, I'd agree with you. One of the crazy adventurers, explorers, or warriors who risks his life to explore the world, blah, 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 blah. The second life is SDC. It too is dangerous, especially for an adventurer or man at arms who's made his share of enemies. This is when the character comes out of his MDC armor or vehicle and relaxes as an ordinary Joe. Means they have to take precautions. Oh, that's stupid. No, this isn't justifying shit at all. This is him whining that people complain that he doesn't have enough SDC content. Like, have you noticed that like a lot of this is just like actual negative feedback that he's just trying to say as a minor? Like he kind of acts a bit like how you see entertainment industry does whenever they get criticism.
And here's the other thing.
That
Well, if
doesn't
he's
help
out of
you.
his armor, why would you s- why would you still not why would you no longer use MDC weapons? If he's out of his armor, take a laser gun and fry his ass.
Yeah, and on top of that, like you can always just partially unlatch the damn armor and like keep the key parts on you, you know? Because worst comes to worst, you lose a limb. Like you can keep your chest plate on, and it would be a bit uncomfortable, but not too bad. Game Masters, be cool. Don't kill a character with a cheap shot from a hidden assailant brandishing an MD blaster or rifle from across the street. The problem is, if you mentioned literally, if they made enemies, that's legitimately what they'd fucking do.
And why would the enemy say, okay, he's out of his armor. Now use the pea shooter.
Like, you get what I mean? This is him just justifying like his flawed take here. Because the bad thing is, I perfectly understand mega damage. I mentioned it. I compared it to Star Wars when they did that. Because West End does that. They have things called speeder and cruiser damage. You get like to give you an idea. Let's say you ImpCit are part of the 501st storming a position, and then all of a sudden some rebel scum managed to jury rig a small a small battery cannon from a cruiser and turn it into a field gun, right? Would you survive that shit even with your armor that's designed to take plasma?
Well, it depends. Am I being written by Filoni?
Let's say this takes place in the 1990s, where it's like randomly in the Star Wars books or in like side pieces. Would your character, like, let's say your unit gets hit with one of that? You're partially lucky. You're on the edges of it. Would you expect your comrades to be alive after getting hit by a blast from that thing?
No.
And that's represented in West End Star Wars. I get mega damage. I just feel like he used like most of it is mega damage, which is the problem. Again, if you have like if you have an intermediate stage and then save it for like horrible demons or really powerful, archaeotech, I'd agree with you. And yeah, exactly, Squirrel Killer. Mega damage makes sense if it's restricted to big obvious stuff. Like let's say you're a glitter boy and you find an ancient minigun. That fucker should be mega damage, you know? Like I don't hate the concept. I feel like you just need more you just need more SDC stuff, you know?
Yeah, it's. But then why? I guess one thing you perhaps do is to make mega damage more
Make it rarer.
destructive. Well, make more destructive. So,
Make
like
the
your
weapons a
laser,
bit rarer too. Like maybe
like
have laser stuff do only 10 times instead or something. I don't
yeah,
know.
or like for instance, the little boy has that giant boom gun. Yeah, you're not going to use that in a city because most likely what's going to happen is the buildings around you will then topple onto you.
I'd also like I said, I'd also introduce what I call super damage weapons, which is the intermediate stage. It's the most common tech that you run into Rifts. It still kind of does what Rifts wants it to be, which is high tech and much more powerful, without being too completely horseshit. Yeah, the issue is he's obsessed with making Rifts ridiculously powerful compared to his other setting books. I don't know why specifically this book he wanted this. Maybe it's because it's sci-fi and he was like, "Oh yeah, even chain swords would be like a gajillion times better than this, you know, elvish sword crafted in the fiery mountains of the Silver Mount." Using meteoric iron that is their bane, touched by the greatest dwarven smiths alongside the elven engravers to make
Well,
the
no,
one weapon that legitimately is one of the rare times the two races have worked together. Yeah, like come on, that thing versus and then you just lose to like some fucking Walmart brand chainsword.
I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be MDC as well in this setting.
Okay, if that's the case, that's a little more fair. But I just feel like MDC is stupid because it's too much of it is MDC.
Like the magic weapons and that sort of stuff is MDC, but your average sword, SCC.
Yeah, but the thing is, why would you have all of these SDC shit? You know,
Yeah.
that's my problem. At the end of the day, that's my problem. What is the point? The only point it seems like is, oh, you're playing a DB that came from another setting that doesn't have this shit, so eat shit and die until you get your hands on this. Exactly, Squirrel Killer. It's exactly the syndrome problem from Incredibles. If everyone's super, no one is. That's my big problem with it. If everyone's mega damage, then there's no mega damage.
Well, no, no. Here's what you do instead. More powerful mega damage weaponry.
I mean,
Yours does only 1d10 damage. Mine does 10d10 damage.
I think my other problem is like, is this his attempt to try to do high lethal?
I think,
It, uh, you can
or
just
just high damage.
that's it's why 3.5 in Pathfinder had NPC classes. Yeah, yeah. So how do you survive this? The answer is you have to be lucky. Oh, and also he decided to go into grisly detail on what laser weapons do, and let's just not and say we did. Basically, okay, so you know how lasers are used in surgery to cauterize things? Okay,
Yeah,
now imagine a giant laser that when it hits you, it does that to your whole arm. The
I
arm
mean,
goes away and it is now sealed shut. That is how the
I
laser do.
played Fallout. I've
Yeah,
seen this happen.
that is how the laser do.
Like, it's not really even in much graphic detail. I mean, the Dark Heresy critical damage chart
I'm aware. It's
is more
just my
detailed.
brain is like rapidly falling apart. Also, damage explosives, you just stop existing completely on an every fundamental level. You're not even banished to the Shadow Realm, Jimbo. You're just nothing. Oh, and apparently plasma liquefies you because it's like the melt-a-gun from Warhammer Fantasy from Warhammer 40K. You can tell my brain is falling apart. My brain has taken mega damage from that character sheet. It is a testament that I have 101 IQ. I am down to 1 IQ. I have 1 brain cell left. So yeah, you need immediate medical attention to not die if you got hit with mega damage. Yeah. They talk about all the things you lose if you get hit with a laser, because let's be fair, you blow your arm off and it caught her. Yeah. And then after that privileged thing, he then goes into ranged combat. Kind of stupid if you think about it, because you didn't talk about ranged combat until now. And all of them have different damage modifiers. My brain cells are rapidly falling apart. There's a variety of bonus penalties that you have to factor in, and I fucking hate this system even more as oh god, my brain. Oh god, we're almost done. We're almost free. I want to
And there's
fucking
missiles.
yeah, because it's split from it. I'm having many
I'm
much
go go past that. And
surviving a plane crash, which is funny.
uh, psychic combat.
Oh look, plane crashes. You take mega damage times 10. Oh, please have psychic battles be like. Have you seen the South Park episode where Cartman thought he was psychic and they just do weird noises and sound effects?
No, I'm thinking of scanners though.
I was thinking, well, I mean, I think it kind of is based on scanners a little bit, but I was envisioning the psychic battle in South Park. It has all that energy. Like I'm just
Yeah.
envisioning your character going.
Um,
You could
then you have
possess. Oh god, it keeps going. It keeps going.
horror factor.
This book has a horror factor of what's the
It has a horror factor of I rolled an 8.
That's pretty bad. My
Um,
my saving throw, I rolled like a 2, so my brain is poo.
well, saving throw. Oh no, we rolled a 12.
You saved, but I rolled a fucking 2.
Right. Perception rolls, which is each 20 to detect something, basically.
So the standard perception check from D&D.
Yep. And then finally, I guess inspiration. Like
God help me.
I believe that's it. Then this is it. And
Tapping
then
the infinite. The right perspective to build an adventure. This feels like he stole this art. I don't know why.
I think it might have come from that video game.
Probably. From a pure conceptual point of view, a player who's uncertain about his character or has made some poor choices is perfect for a role-playing game. So, you fucked up? Don't worry. Don't worry. It's okay to fuck up. It should include self-discovery and character growth. To me, role-playing is all about the player characters and their growth. Who they start out as and who they become, how the adventures shape them, turning hopefully into blitty blah. That's why I, as a game designer, prefer to use an experience level as my system for character advancement. It seems to more accurately simulate real. He thinks real life operates on experience points, huh?
Well, I mean, speaking of that, how would you say your character growth has been throughout these 3 episodes?
I think I took a level in crazy.
Yeah, I've slowly turned against this. I want to say overall, I remember at the beginning
Which
I said,
Rift book do you need? No. Let's see what he
oh,
thinks because I want to. If he says more than one book, I will fucking pour acid on him. Because a good RPG book only needs the one. Anything else is fucking supplement. One word, Sandstorm. Yeah, my brain feels like it's under the effect of the under the Pokemon weather effect Sandstorm, where I'm just constantly taking damage. So that depends entirely on you. It depends on you. When I design any role-playing game, I do so with a minimalist approach. All you absolutely need is this book. Okay,
actually, no, it
fair
does make
enough.
sense. Minimalist. There's no, there's no editing. There's no, you know, font. It's all black and white.
Okay, fair enough. I'm okay with that. However, he does say if you want to, he does push heavily his other books, which is fine. They're created as a resource for you, but none of them are necessary. They are created so when you are. Oh God, he's really kind of pushing. Like the way he's writing this is just like it is
Cringe.
agitating my bones. Like literally, my skeleton is about to leap out of my body to just I don't know attack him in the form of like the Illinois Nazis in his weird robot walker. Oh Lord. If your player group has no interest in venturing, oh God, he kind of is low key hinting, no, you need more than that book, even though he said you only need the one. Because he's like, no, you can't possibly do any of the adventures outside of America without my books. Even though you did a basic bitch Arthurian legacy campaign in the UK. Everyone knows if you want a truly cursed future timeline for the United Kingdom, you either go full Oliver Cromwell 2 Irish Scourge Boogaloo, or you go 1984 with Comrade Computer. Like basically just have paranoia take place. Like actually how would that be? Like you go around in rifts and you expect it to be Arthurian and then you just run into Alpha Complex instead.
Oh, that's. Well, I mean, you could just shoot your way out of that.
I know, but you know, like what if instead of the Arthurian legends it was that? Like a weird closed off silent state run by friend computer.
Hmm. I want to say that they've already done that in Rifts, but no, I don't think they have.
I mean, it's fair. He probably didn't have the permission to do, say, paranoia. It does feel like up Kevin's alley a bit. Like honestly, I think paranoia would work pretty well as like a side rifts thing.
Yeah,
It kind of fits the ethos a little bit.
especially if that. Well, if you go to that one planet where AI took over and turned all metal hostile to humans,
Warning:
as in,
I am proud to say Palladium's writers and I could hook up some pretty enticing books that are fun to read and filled with alluring concept. I'll give him that.
yeah, that.
I'll
Well,
give him
yeah,
that.
that's true.
If you start skimming through one, you may want to buy it and another and another. I'm gonna disagree with that. Not after this brain damage.
I mean,
Not
again,
after the severe brain damage. I have gone from
the
like int 10 to like int 4
the
over the course of
Underseas
this.
one allows you to play as a fucking dolphin.
Cool. D&D did the same thing in like fucking 1982. I'm not kidding. D&D earlier editions legitimately had undersea campaigns already written, so he's not even new to that one.
But can you have power armor with the dolphin?
No, but you can get magical plate mail, which is similar.
Can it shoot lasers?
Yes, if you decide to give it the prismatic spray property.
All right.
My sword, to give you an idea, my disciple of Dispater's sword legitimately shot a rainbow laser that could either kill you instantly, send you to another dimension, or turn you to stone, as well as douche you with fire, lightning, and electrical and ice damage. Underground is paranoia, and most of the land is Adam's idea. I mean, you could honestly have like the way I'd envision it is you'd have Wales, which is your Arthur Pendragon Met Legends. You'd have the English Commonwealth, which is very much similar to the CS in some ways, but different in others. It's a very religious nightmare state. And then you have the footy hooligan barbarians of the North and the lowlands of Scotland, as well as the Highland clans that fight the fucking demons that try to escape from Norway. How would you envision that as a Rifts book?
Actually, yeah. I actually don't know if they go into Scotland at all. So,
That would be my take on Rifts Britain. And as for the Irish, you have the Druidic conspiracy fighting against the Catholic theology. Like it's literally Druids versus Catholics with the Fae kind of influencing things there.
oh, that sounds fun.
There you go. And I think we're fucking done, aren't we?
Yeah, we are done. So I want to wrap up by saying I believe I said this was just the 80s, combining all of the 80s into one game. I think we need to add on it's the 80s also in terms of gameplay. Clunky, uh, you know, a little bit just difficult to understand, minimalist, broad in scope, and you know, because there's like a skill in cooking.
So, what would
Uh,
you rate
you,
this book, ImpCit?
you wouldn't have well, you wouldn't have like cooking in the modern day game. In terms of rating it, 2 or 3 actually. Like
Ah,
I, just looking over the crunch and the way it's presented, it is bad. But I do have a fascination with the lore.
okay. So, what was your description on cooking? Because if you're talking about old cooking manuals, they expected you to kind of already be a chef with those, at least in the 19th and very early 20th century books. The very first books that actually told you measurements and procedures was in the 1890s. It was
No,
actually written by a bored housewife who wanted to essentially, she wanted to make it so that because there's preparatory skills for women, it was in a New England thing. She wanted to make it so that those students could actually easily learn how to cook, whether it be for a man or for other services like nursing or like working in a restaurant or something, you know?
I
Because
meant
it's that time period. It's the 18
no,
fucking 90s.
I meant in the game. So you wouldn't see like in a modern game that there would be a skill dedicated to cooking or
Actually, you
gardening.
could, because
Like
remember,
it's supposed to.
a lot of bad Powered by the Apocalypse games try to go wacky, like hipster weirdo. Like, here's the how to run a coffee shop module.
That's a
And remember, they
module. Like
borrow a
this is.
lot from Japanese RPGs, and there's a lot of slice of life Japanese RPGs out there, like tabletops.
Oh,
Like
I
there's an
didn't know that.
entire tabletop RPG. We actually shat on our traveling home for it. It basically stole the premise, which you are adventurers who have decided after a very harrowing day, because you made a lot of money in the dungeon, fuck that, we're going to run a tavern now. And it's a slice of life Japanese RPG from the point of view of former adventurers who run a tavern.
But the game is entirely designed around cooking as a
It's
or
designed around
tavern.
customer satisfaction, ingredients acquisitions, and the very rare occasionally you have to go out of retirement to deal with some bullshit affecting the village.
What I'm talking about is the fact that we made a character that is proficient in laser guns, cars, and also uh, guitar, and knows cooking and knows all these languages. You
Yeah,
could technically
I'm
have.
gonna have to agree. This is not a solely 80s thing, IMSIT. Squirrel Killer points out that while I'm not a fan of Pathfinder 2 because of its beta test period, it includes cooking as a skill. Also, on top of that, you have to keep in mind a lot of D percentile systems do allow you to list professions and abilities as well. Now, those
Fair
are
enough.
legacy. Those are legacy, a lot of them. Like Call of Cthulhu is ancient particularly. But
But
straight up, the Warhammer Fantasy roleplay, you can be a halfling chef.
I mean, this game has a weapon proficiency in using rope.
Okay, so
You
ultimately,
you
since
would you
people
would
are
have put.
curious, hmm,
Yeah, I'm saying you would long blade,
I think in this,
spear.
well, that's because it's traditionally you wanted to simplify because the more weapons you list as potentials to pick up, the more people have to read to figure out which one, and the more you'd have to stat. Like, to give you an idea, one of the things that made me hate this book the most was learning about all the different martial arts techniques that do differing damage values. That is stupid. That is really fucking stupid. So overall, since I didn't get to rate it, you said 2 or 3 out of 5. It sounds like
Maybe yeah, maybe out of 5. It was out. I guess double it if it's out of 10.
4 to 6 out of 10. All right. For me, I'm gonna say this one is playable. Using the ratings that we did, there's amazing, good, decent, playable, garbage. Then there's Waso and deep hurting. And it's not that. Oh, yeah, also there's also the True Namer rating, which it's not even a book. I would say this is playable. The thing that really cripples it is the book's design. I really
Yeah.
think that having the game rules in the back was the worst decision you could have possibly made. Mainly because I get why he maybe did it. It's because he was trying to lure people in with the fluff, and that does seem to work somewhat because let's be fair, his crunch is not good. It's not as bad as I originally said because let's be fair, the character sheet I was operating with was a homebrew one, and one that actually was missing several key points and didn't even have fillable areas for some of it. So I am going to be fair in that the character sheet was not the best representation of what I should have gotten out of it. But when I said unironically I had a little more fun making that troll character in the fatal character creation system, that should tell you how much of a pain in the ass it is to make a character sheet. Also, there's just enough clunky issues with how things are working. I really hate the concept of mega damage in the way it's currently applied, for example. I can't see myself enjoying the game. And the setting, it's kind of cool. It's a neat little weird grab bag thing. It does what Chult wishes it would fucking do. It's actually interesting. It has a unique aesthetic. I just at the end of the day think that a game ultimately also relies on its on its crunch as much of its fluff, and it just doesn't meet muster. It just it doesn't cut the mustard. It didn't make the banana. It didn't make the peanut butter and banana sandwich. To give you an idea, remember several of the comments I wrote for all of this included, and I quote: "Find drugs to end it in Minecraft. Hail the bomb, end it. How not to make duck noises in public. Crash the car for the sweet release of non-existence. Shibari bandage clown tech." You can kind of tell during the creation process, uh, it's just something in my brain just broke. That to me makes this not a good game.
Yeah. It- yeah. I don't know what else I say.
And
Crunch wise, it's just
the best part
bad.
is if Ken ever sees this, he will strongly disagree because he has the Chris Chan and Frank Sinatra point of view that it is not I that is wrong or I that could improve my work. It is you that is incorrect. I do it everything perfectly the first fucking time. Which I that is such a I on the one hand, it's good that you don't bow down to societal pressure and shaming because sometimes you have to take risks. Like that's a thing Rifts kind of does. But on the other hand, sometimes it's good to listen to people interpret what they say and either use it or dismiss it. Sometimes it's okay to go back and do a second draft, you know? Like this one and done, we're doing it live shit. That's not a good. That's not good. Ugh.
Yeah, it's
Oh fuck! I just realized I think
a bit
Werewolf's
clunky.
coming out next week.
Oh, yes, that's correct. So,
Oh, you already pre-ordered it, didn't you?
oh dear God, no, I'm not giving them any money.
Someone in the Dice Scum crew almost certainly did, though.
I should just wait for 4chan to get it. Someone will have it.
Don't do that, actually. Remember, you gotta buy the book. Speaking of which, you can get a copy of Rifts, because it's a flawed book, but it's interesting, in the description. And also, you can feel free to join Discord, like, subscribe. My brain is poo, and I want to drink this vodka I put on the table now.
Oh, good night, everyone.
Good night. Next week will probably either be Werewolf, or if we can't get a copy of it due to events. Uh, I think I said Call of Cthulhu or Gaslands. There will be a poll in the Discord if we can't get our hands on a copy of Werewolf 5th. So, have a good night, and I really hope that we can't get a copy of it because my brain hurts. Yeah. Oh no, indeed, Jim. Night, y'all.